Hello everybody and welcome back to the main action of the round 2, and it is going to be the session number 3, and what a better place to start than a great long shot taken by John Higgins into the right corner, really nicely out there, but unfortunately it's only going to get him a single point as he rolls that cue ball in behind the green. And let's get this party started. 78% of the safety success is the stat that is going to be shown on the BBC, but ultimately the thing that matters for Higgins is going to be down a great showdown finale here, because it looked like with the first session finishing 6 frames to 2, it always looked like it was going to be a bit of a walk in the park there for Ronnie. Higgins managed to overturn that and win the second session by 5 frames to 3, and now only finds himself 2 frames away from the ultimate target. And Ronnie O'Sullivan there finds himself a millimetre away from the red, but ultimately didn't manage to hit that one away, and it will be down to a foul shot. And of course now the cube will have to be respotted behind the green, because there's not going to be any value in Higgins taking this one on. So yeah, 652 points scored by Higgins, 1117 scored by Ronnie O'Sullivan. That probably tells you everything you need to know. Great couple of steals there coming in. A couple of them have been in the first session by Ronnie, but ultimately I have to say the second session was the real stunt for progression there for John Higgins. And now, you know, Ronnie's going to have to go for attempt number 2. He's hit that one with a lot more pace, and he's going to have the ping this time around. So he will be put back on once again. So this time it is going to be 6 points to be given away, and 11 points advantage now for John Higgins. It does seem like it's very early days, but of course John will try and fight for an early chance here to make sure that you know, he sort of puts himself closer towards the finish line and try and take another frame away from that lead of Ronnie O'Sullivan. Ultimately make sure that he will come down to Ronnie having a decent opportunity of you know, sort of extending and building on that lead that he has got against John Higgins. As meanwhile, Weezer and Mark Selby are going to be playing on that table number 2. Pretty much every single time there we've seen Ronnie O'Sullivan and John Higgins to be playing. Alongside them has always been the match of Selby against Weezer. But, I mean, it seems like such an easy snooker, and yet he's going to find Ronnie to be missing out on hitting the red first time with 3rd consecutive chances. And, yeah, he will be down to a chance here to try and take the right side cushion. Have to work for exams out, certainly, as someone found out, hence why the stream was starting a little bit late. Now, come on, surely you're not going to have a 4th miss here. And he's not going to be touching the pink here, surely. Oh, he's hit that one a little bit too much in terms of the side of those reds, and he may have left a chance away for Higgins. Certainly seems like he's going to have a little bit of thinking here to do. And when it comes to taking this red into the left corner, the problem is going to be very much down to playing for the pink here. You know, the black is going to be out of position, so it's going to be a shot for the pink, or, you know, just a safety there to be played. It does seem like he's very keen there, Higgins, in taking this red on into the left corner. So let's see what's it's going to be out with the end. Just about rolls that red in the end, and well, he still seems like he is going to be on the pink, which will allow him to try and take that pink away into the left middle quite nicely. Still be on a couple of more of those reds, and yeah, it certainly seems like we've seen a great transition from Higgins into a more dominant player than he is, trying to make sure that he realises he will get those chances. The huge gap for Ronnie is no longer going to be there, but that's a bad miss on the pink, and ultimately that wasn't something that John was looking for. Are your first couple of frames important here? Yes, absolutely. And yeah, if you're going to be taking that pink into the front jaw, you will be down to a mistake here, and O'Sullivan will come back to the table. So once again, same thing is going to be very much relevant for him, where he doesn't have the black available, he doesn't have the pink and the blue, as he now tries to take the first red away into the corner, and powers that one in, I would say. It's actually overrun for the blue slightly, which, I mean, he can't really be taking the pink on here, because that will leave that cue ball to be heading even further up the table. So he needs to be taking the blue here. He needs to try and take those reds on there with the cue ball. That's what he's played for. Got a decent contact, and he's going to be on the red next to the black ball cushion. He should still be fine to try and get somewhere close to the blue. And yeah, he certainly is able to play through that red. Whether he's going to be able to cue that one nicely or not, it seems like he's gone for an option B, trying to play further out into the open gap there. next to the main bunch, and he's played that shot well. He's going to be on the blue this time around, so it does seem like Ronnie O'Sullivan will be the first player to try and get this one right. Maybe over 1 hour. He may be, but once again, it's going to have to finish before the intermission. For that to be the case, he'll have to finish with 4 consecutive frames there to be taken with Ronnie O'Sullivan, which is possible. We've seen that time and time again, but ultimately you still have to say that, you can never count out John Higgins out of the equation. And also you do have to say that, there's always going to be a potential for Ronnie to try and make his life a little bit more difficult, which he's known for doing in the past. But for now, he takes the blue once again into the middle, although he's overrun for this particular red that he's taken. Just about rolls that one in, but still, just because he had to use so much of the pocket, compromises himself now on the exit for the pink. And it doesn't seem like he's going to have anything easy here to be taking. So just having a look once again in relation to those frames that he has got ahead of himself, trying to go for the pink into the right middle, surely would leave him nicely on for another opportunity here to be taken, but ultimately you do have to put that down to a decent chance. But listen, is that going to be all that he can actually produce here? Because if that is the case, it's not really going to be enough of a sort of gap there for him to try and produce. He's tried to go for the blue in the end, into the corner. He's played that shot really well, and now he's going to be lined up for the lowest one of those reds. So still just about, but keeping himself in for the pace and trying to make sure that this break will go as far as it possibly can. Rolling that red carefully into the left corner. And once again, the issue for Ronnie, of course, is that he's got so many of those reds to be so far away from the blue. But now, it's potentially going to try and make his life a little bit easier with taking the pink into the right middle after playing a really nice positional shot on the pink. So, of course, he will be down to just having that pink to be respotted underneath the reds, probably, which is exactly what he's checking now, to see if the pink is going to be potable from that position. It probably will be, but only into a specific corner pocket. Depends on which one of those reds is going to be sort of getting in the way of the pink a little bit more. So then 25 plays 16, and it's now going to be 9 points of the advantage here for Ronnie. Early days in frame number 17, but still feels like could be a very important outcome at the end if Ronnie was to prove this one, to go all the way for himself. But now still feels like he's trying to, steady the ship, make sure that he's going to be trying to do the same thing that he's done pretty much the entire session yesterday, where getting himself through decent opportunities, just didn't really manage to take them too well. And now once again looking for another red here to be taken into the right corner. And, probably playing for the blue here. And certainly adding loads of topspin. Make sure that he's going to be on the top side of a blue, which he has on the run for. So now we'll come down to being on the wrong side of a blue, trying to get through the bold colours without touching any of the 3 of them. And ultimately will just be loads of manoeuvre for him to try and do. And it does seem like the angle on the blue is not going to be sufficient enough as he tries to go for the brown here to be taken into the yellow pocket. Hammers that brown home. So which one of those reds is he actually playing for? It's going to be difficult for you to tell. And, is he playing for a plant next to the black to be taken into the corner? Because that could be the shot which brings the black into life, but it could also be the shot which catches the front jaw. Let's see which one is it going to be. Cued that one really well and played it straight to the heart of the pocket without hesitation there for Ronnie, because that plant was looking not directly into the pocket, so he had to make a bit of a correction to it. And he certainly managed to make that correction work for himself, as he gets himself through now to 15 points of a gap, and looking very nicely to try and take it even further away. So that's still looking down at a potential sort of problem that he has got available to him with the red to be taken into the left corner. Not too sure if he's going to have a chance to try and play that shot through. Although seems like he may be able to do that here, trying to separate the reds away from each other. And even though he's going to compromise himself slightly for a shot on the black, it does seem like he's going to play this one nicely into the pack of the reds. And he should still be able to try and go for this red here into the left corner. I mean, not too sure if he's got a great opportunity to try and go for this black without making it too much of an issue for himself. But certainly should he's going to go for it. And just trying to get that cue ball to be on the right-hand side of the table. Once again, just looking at the extension of the cue that he's about to take, as he gets another 7 points on the board with the previous colour and red combination. So then just this black, and surely then the frame is going to be his for the taking. He's going to have plenty of those reds to try and recover from. And now carefully takes this one away. Make sure that you don't overcut it. And he's played that shot really nicely to the corner. Now it will be down to a decent opportunity here for Ronnie to be taking. So now as he leads 44-16, still 83 points at the table, as he's about to take another red away into the left corner. And still try and make sure that he gets this frame over and done with. And at that stage onwards, he's going to have a decent opportunity to make sure the next chance that John Higgins gives away, it could be under a little bit of threat of going, you know, not just a couple of frames down, but more than that frames down, as he's going to have a decent opportunity here to try and test it down. As the left corner, he's going to see a red to stay out, and ultimately it will be a bit of a problem there for him to be taking on, because it will be a break of just 44 points, and ultimately plenty of those to be available, and another red here, which John Higgins can try and take into the left-hand side of the table. And he will come down to, just give me a moment on this one very quickly, and I'll be back with you. Sorry about that, should be all back to standard right now. We haven't missed too many of those things. As I say, we came back on that mistake from Ronnie O'Sullivan taking the red into the left corner. A couple of points later, it still seems like Higgins is going to have a bit of an issue to try and make his way through, because he's got a couple of those reds to be available, but ultimately when it comes down to those points, he's still going to be 6 points clear of Ronnie O'Sullivan in terms of the deficit that he finds himself through. And yeah, taking that red into the corner, he still needs to try and get through next to the red on the pink, which is going to be a little bit difficult for him to try and do without, well, basically cannoning the pink out of the way. As he plays the cue ball on towards the right side cushion, still going to be on the black here, wants to be slightly the lower side of the black, and trying to, well, he's got now down to those 2 reds to be taken. If he takes the black into the left-hand side of the table, he should have a decent opportunity to try and play for the red in the back-end side of it. And yeah, it does seem like Higgins might actually be positioning himself to try and take that red away into the left corner. Has he played for that? Yes, he has. Well, if that red goes into the corner, that eliminates all sorts of issues there for John Higgins. And at the same time, it eliminates all sorts of hope for Ronnie O'Sullivan as well. Carefully taken into the front jaw. Didn't want to see too much of that pocket to be used. Let's see if Higgins is going to be happy with this one. He needs significant angle on the paint to try and get for the lowest of those reds, and he's going to be very straight. Well, that's why the body language suggested that Higgins is going to be disappointed. And if you try and take the pink away into the right corner, he will come down to basically having a safety battle on the red to be taken here. But yeah, it does seem like he's trying to go for a backspin, which leaves them trying to get that cue ball to be closer to the red. It's a decent effort that from Higgins. The problem is the cue ball is going to be slightly too close to the red, but ultimately the red is not too far away from the corner pocket as well. So now a break of 37 points could still be another great turning point, because remember, O'Sullivan was leading by 9 frames to 4, and now he finds himself in a position of being only 2 frames clear, and this red for Higgins, if he's on the collar, he will be 9-8 over scoreline. He's taken that red. Has he got enough power to drop in? Yes, he does. Once again, it's a brilliant shot there when it matters from John Higgins, and it's about to leave Ronnie O'Sullivan in some real danger here once again, because if he finds himself being 9-8 clear, he'll be anything but comfortable to try and make sure he maintains that 2-frame cushion here, because there's nothing he can do about it. It will be down to Higgins to try and have another great shot there from the black one towards the yellow, and then you have a 6-color clearance to try and finish the job off. Well, once again, that unforced error from Ronnie, taking that red into the left corner, was nothing that he had to be associated with himself. In the end, that seems to be an issue that takes John Higgins over the finish line. 6-2 up, 9-4 up, down to 9-8 incoming. He just, yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but it seems like there was a lot of a step up from John Higgins' point of view. And also there have been so many of those mistakes coming in from Ronnie's camp as well. You know, we've seen a couple of those steals from Higgins to come at the point where it seemed like O'Sullivan was comfortable. Even at this stage, he was sort of like 44 points clear, and now he finds himself leaving Higgins on the yellow, trying to take that one away. Needs to make sure that cue is going to bounce massively off the ball cushion and position himself nicely for the green. Frames still alive. Technically is, but probably the last player you would expect to miss a green or brown like that, which of course will be a frame ball for John Higgins, but you never quite know. We've seen a green like that to be missed from Ronnie, which prevented him from potentially making a 10 of frames to 1 for himself. And even at that stage, it was still looking like Higgins was going to be difficult to try and make a game out of it. Not looking like this now. 22 points clear, and it will be down to 22 points at the table. Then the brown for the frame to be taken, and John Higgins once again finds himself to be the winning man here in those really tough frames. He manages to deliver when it matters, and now 26 points clear, whilst 18 at the table. Just needs to make sure he takes the blue away, and then it will be no chance for Ronnie to be doing anything here. Exciting game unfolding, absolutely. Too exciting maybe for Ronnie O'Sullivan, because he's about to find himself in a position where he needs to win the next frame. Otherwise, he will be under threat of losing 5 on the bounce. And that, of course, put Higgins as potentially the favourite for the match, because you can't have a player to win 5 frames and for him not to be a real contender out there to try and make it out of it. Ronnie O'Sullivan reminds me of on Gervin. They both dominate for years, won everything now, but still good. But nothing. Yeah, but I would say it's a different thing there, because, you know, you can't really compare darts to snooker, because once again, you could have a session like Ronnie had, where you might feel like, and he got me thinking as well. I was very much aware that, you know, it was just only one session, and he could disappear for another sort of 10 or 9 frames, and then Higgins will find himself to be right back in the mix, which is exactly what he's done. So now he needs to try and come back to the Ronnie of day 1 of this 3-day match, and make sure that when he does so, you know, it's not going to be too late at that stage to try and make a competitive game out of this particular performance, which for now I still feels like he's got a chance. Whether he's going to be able to finish it off, well, there's going to be another matter out there to be seen, and certainly looking forward to of course the result of it. So yes, for now it just seems like Ronnie just needs to try and recover here, and the best way for him to recover is to make sure that he will be winning one of the remaining 2 frames here before, of course, Higgins can try and take a lead in this particular session, because, yeah, he will be down to 9 frames to 8, which technically still puts him to be as a favourite. You know, he's still ahead, but, you know, one thing you have to say about those things is that you need to make sure you realise he wins the next frame from here, because, listen, it could be a very different match to start to unfold from here, because if Higgins wins the 18th frame, which I'm probably going to say he's the favourite to try and do, and you also come down to Ronnie just being clinical with the opportunities that keep presenting to himself. A lot of snooker still to be played out there. Yeah, listen, by no means I'm writing him off out there. He's capable of trying to come back with the best snooker that we've seen. Whether he's going to be able to maintain that or not is going to be a bit of a different matter, because even now, he's got a long red available after not a perfect break-off shot by John Higgins that has been taken place. So if he tries to play for the black. Technically, he has got a bit of a room to try and land on the top end of the black. But of course, it's going to be difficult to try and cue that shot as well, as judging the pace of the white perfectly. So you may as well try and play this shot through the black ball cushion if he's got the angle, and try and position himself nicely for the next colour to be taken. But of course, the thing for him to try and do is to pot a red first. And has he managed to get away with this one? Well, I'm not sure, but it seems like the same red is going to be possible there for Higgins to try and take into the right corner, though it won't be easy. And he will be down to a really good shot there. That is the requirement of trying to take this red away. And it does seem like Higgins is going to be playing this one with a safety in mind, which you can't really blame him for. If he is playing this with a safe shot in mind, and he is, well, yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate there for John, because you feel like the cut would have been a little bit lesser, and all of a sudden it would have been a great chance to try and maneuver that cue past the red and the black, get himself lined up for the blue, and basically do exactly the thing that he has been showing in the previous frame. Great consistency before, managing to put that break off at 59 points, which proved to be enough, and left Ronnie to be sat in his seat after his mistake on the red. That wasn't quite able to put that frame behind him. And now Higgins still left a little bit of the edge of those reds to be taken at the right-hand side of the main pack of those. And Ronnie was able to capitalise on that really nicely. And now leaving Higgins with not an easy shot to be taken. Probably the highest of those reds is going to be the one that he tries to target towards the right side cushion. Although the problem with that shot to be taken is that, of course, it leaves you with plenty of ground to try and recover on the cue ball. And you need to make sure that you generate enough pace so that it doesn't slow itself down too much of two side cushions. And, well, this is an interesting one here, because Higgins caught the yellow pretty much full ball. And has he left the red now to be taken into the corner? It will come down to an interesting shot here from Ronnie to be taken, if he is to try and take this red on. But probably will come down to the same red that Higgins refused beforehand. Although I don't remember Higgins to be leaving an option available to Ronnie O'Sullivan. This is going to be a bit of a different story right now, because Higgins has got a red once again to be available at the right corner. He will certainly attempt this one, because he needs to try and go for those sort of opportunities. Now, the cue ball is potentially, it's not a guarantee, but he can be leading past the black. And if Higgins decide to try and play for the black as well, which probably say it's not really going to be the shot that you go for, especially at 8-9. So just try and take the reds with no issues. He's done that in the first frame of the third session. Can he try and do it here? The question is about to be answered, and it is going to be answered negatively. That red is now going to have a massive bounce. And let's see where the cue ball and the red are going to finish. They're going to finish in a position where it's not easy, but you probably would back Ronnie to go for this red now. And he will be down to a potential chance here for him to be taking this red into the left middle. And just ultimately leaving himself with a decent shot to be taken on the blue. So once again, Higgins is not really just, able to take every single chance away from Ronnie. But now can O'Sullivan himself respond with a good shot on the reds. And he's taken that one really nicely indeed. So it doesn't want to be too straight on the blue here. And, well, it seems like he's still going to have a red available on the right-hand side of the table. But can he try and get through to that red first? That's going to be the most important thing for him to try and consider here. And hearts of Ronnie, mindset Higgins. He will be down to the next couple of frames. As I say, the first frame was very important for Higgins, but, we haven't really seen that blistering pace of the match to be played so far. Although, if Ronnie messed this one up, he's nearly done the fist bump to the table again. That's going to tell you that he's not playing well at all. And you can see the coverage just highlighting the area where the cue ball should have been. And it's way lower than it is, it was supposed to be. So, it's now going to be down to surely a safety shot for him to find. Of course, that mistake comes away out of absolutely nowhere. And it's not like he had an easy position ahead of him, which probably makes it a little bit better in relation to, you feel like you haven't had so much to lose. But at the same time, you need to make sure when you have got a half an opportunity, you convert that into a little bit bigger. And then at the end point, it will be down to a safety shot now to be taken on the Higgins. And just carefully making sure that he brushes the reds on the right-hand side, rolls that cue ball away without touching the blue, and plays that towards the ball cushion here to be taking that cue ball on towards. So now gives the turn back to Ronnie. But listen, ultimately, we were expecting the you know, the good old Ronnie to try and come back with some great shots to be played. At the end, it does still seem like he will be a bit of a Ronnie of the second session that has turned up so far, although he's looking for a plant, which, you know, seems like it's unmissable from this angle. The cue ball is still going to be heading towards the safe place of the table, but he hit that red completely in the wrong fashion, and unless he's going to get a lucky kiss of the yellow, which he might have done, you know, it depends on how much the brown is going to cover. He might have actually managed to get away with this mistake. And he has. Well, this is going to be interesting because inevitably it will force Higgins to try and do something about that red. Because you can't leave that available to Ronnie. So it could be down to playing the shot in the normal way. And just putting a lot of trust in your ability to try and get that cue ball in behind the yellow-brown. You're going to be close to each other. But, well, it seems like he was trying to use another red as a potential cover point. He needs that cue ball to slow down right now, otherwise he would have left it. And, yeah, a bit too close, it would seem, towards the right side cushion. Although Higgins must have been checking that. So let's see what Ronnie can actually try and do with this red. Is he going to be able to take it into the corner? And he's taken that one well. And where's the cue ball going to finish? He needs to try and have a good contact with well, those reds, and that's not really the reality. It was a good shot there that Ronnie's taken, but it's not going to be on the collar here, and that just seems like the ball run is not really happening for him at the moment. Early to judge how Ronnie's... Yeah, it's true. Absolutely. It is, to be fair, so I'm just saying that it's very nice, and it's very rare that we see him turn up with the first frame to be blistering, and then he's going to just slowly fade away, and that was the case of him probably not winning the second session as well, because even though he had a really good spell midway through that session, still seems like he's going to be struggling slightly here, especially with, you know, him taking two decent reds away, the first one into the left middle, the second one into the right corner, but he only scores 7 points out of those two chances. How many frames does he need? Both of them need 13 frames, so we are going to guaranteed to have at least an intermission here to be seen. But for now, Higgins is potentially going to go for a long red himself. Feels like that's probably the only red for him to try and give away to Ronnie if he does try and tempt this one in. And he doesn't want to push another red towards the right middle, because that might just take Ronnie over the edge to be taking that red away. And, well, if he hasn't landed on the colour with the previous two reds, surely this is going to be the time to try and achieve that result right now. So they try and play this shot with very much topspin there and try and get that red to be, well, I thought he was going to try and at least attempt that red to be heading towards the right middle. In the end, he's managed to play a really nice safety shot and get that cue ball to be perfectly behind the green. Now, let's see if there is going to have to be plenty of left side cushion to be available here for Higgins. Because for now, it will be down to just a careful shot there to be taken on the left side. Make sure that you justify the pace pretty well. And if that cue was not going to be running too close to the red, which, I mean, Higgins is normally not one of the players that you say is going to be the best at this particular stat, but still, it doesn't seem like he's going to be the one which absolutely messes up this particular shot and makes a mess out of it. So still, ball spotted there. You can see 434 for Higgins, 554 for Ronnie. Seems like Higgins is trying to get himself closer. I'm surprised, actually, that he's trying to take the cue ball away to the right-hand side of the table. Seems like he's trying to play for the reds. He needs to make sure he gets the right side of it. And, well, I mean, I'm not sure he caught that one as well as he wanted, because he is going to leave another red away to the right middle. If Ronnie wasn't taking the previous edition of this one, well, I mean, he probably wasn't taking it because he felt like there was a chance to try and roll the cue ball in behind the green. Now, the reality is going to be a little bit different. Surely he needs to try and make this one into the corner pocket. And try and make sure that he's still going to be on one of the bow colours. I mean, it's not quite as easy as it may look from a different angle, though. And he's tried to take too much of that pocket. Let's see where he's played that cue ball for. And he's going to leave that one perfectly onto the bulk line, which is going to be a great gift to John Higgins. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's absolutely understandable why he wasn't playing the red with the previous shot there. And you probably have to say he needed to be taking those reds away, because you can't just sit there and defend throughout the entire time. You have to try and come on the front foot in those type of matches. For now, it seems like it's not going to be too close to making that one work for himself. And the red here about to disappear into the right middle. And Higgins now is going to have a bit of a quest of himself. And he will be down to trying to make those reds to be taken with great power into the left corner. And trying to get himself through to... The problem is, it's a bit of a weird position here for Higgins because he's got so many colours available. He pretty much has got 5 of them apart from the yellow to be way too high at the table. But he's going to have pretty much 1 or 2 reds to be playing for. There is a potential plant which you have to consider that may get past the black into the corner. But apart from that, you've still got so many of those reds to be bunched up closely. And even this blue that he's about to take into the middle, I feel like he could have been lined up a little bit closer to the blue. In terms of the angle, he's taking that blue in, and is he going to try and play this shot into the bunch? He's played that really, really well, and he's going to be extremely unlucky if he's not on the red. And no surprise that he should be lined up on 2 reds into the corner. That was brilliant there. That was crisp from Higgins, and he didn't manage to get, well, he could not have managed to get any closer to those reds in relation to a full contact ball with the cue ball to be played. Once again, it seems like he's going to be taking the great momentum from the previous session down to this one as well. Needs to play a good shot here to be on the pink. And he will be on the pink if that one does go past the red into the corner. But it seems like he's not even looking at the pink, which may still suggest that he's going to try and take the blue away, which shouldn't be too much of an issue, to be fair. As he plays through the shot on the blue. Tries to take that colour into the left middle of the pocket. And just position himself nicely to be lined up for a shot to be taken with the red towards the right corner of the table. He played that one with so much power, which was a little bit surprising to me. Now, is he going to get a little bit of luck? All he needs is not to get a misfortune, and he's going to be playing this shot absolutely spot on out there. Not even from the power justification, but look at the bounce that he managed to get off the ball cushion to be leading that cue ball perfectly. Just about to be on the right-hand side, and now positioning nicely for 12 points. That plays 7. And ultimately 9-4 down. Who would have thought that Higgins will be challenging to try and make it 9 frames each? Well, there's a reason why you have to say never write John Higgins off the chart there. And well, a little bit of lag on the stream once again. 6 points is the lead that he has, and played a little bit of a bad positional shot here because he's going to have 3 colours to choose from, but neither of them will get him ideally lined up on the reds because you'll have to sacrifice, an easy shot on the cut, or just having to play that shot with so much power, which of course makes that colour missable. Seems like he's going to go for the hardest of the 3 of them in terms of trying to spot the blue into the middle. He's way over on that cue ball to still be remaining here on the blue to be taken into the left middle of the pocket. Can he try and play this shot with top spin and just get it through those reds to be taken? It seems like he has, but is he going to be on the red? Well, he needs to have a couple of those lower than the entire bunch to be taken into the right corner, and it seems like the lowest one will certainly go into the corner. But at the end stage, is it going to come down to a difficult short selection here for John Higgins, and a little bit of a short-term game, long-term loss if he tries to play for that red and tries to make it a little bit too straight, and he's trying to go for a harder one, and he played that red superbly well from Stoop to be retaining perfect position on black. And whatever you say about Ronnie, certainly can't say anything wrong about John Higgins. 33 seconds average shot time on the break, which, many would probably suggest that it's a bad thing, but, the numbers are going to be there for Higgins so far. He's got a great pot success with only the pink in the previous frame to be missed. And once again, look at the positional shot that he plays. So much power of the cue there to try and get that cue ball to be running off the left side and positioning for the red to be taken into the right corner. Now, he will be down to... And people wanting Ronnie to retire. It's Ronnie that keeps snooker on the map. Exactly. And before we get the new generation of the likes of Liam Pullen, Anthony Kowalski, and Chang Min Yu to potentially try and take it to a really good hands out there. We've got the likes of Xiaozington and Weezer to be the potential base setter for the next 20 years or so. But for now, when we still have got the luxury of trying to enjoy the class of 92, we still need to make sure that we savour every single moment of it. As Higgins about to take another 8 towards the right corner. He was always going to get that cue ball to be a little bit too close for the side cushion for his comfort. But at the end stage, I'd still probably say he's not going to complain about that one too much. He's still going to be on the black, and now just trying to get that cue ball to be running towards the black here to be taken. Doesn't want to be straight on this one, but even if he is, he should get a decent opportunity to try and get past the other 8 before he touches their side cushion and position himself nicely for the black to be taken here into the left corner. Is he going to try and play this one with loads of backspin there on the cue ball? He seems to have done that pretty well. And now about to be positioned for a shot on the red here to be taken into the left corner. And I think John Higgins should slow down a little bit. I'm not sure if you're trying to say that he's playing too slow, but he doesn't need to be slowing down anymore. Seems like he's managed to find a pace which is comfortable for him. And he's about to find himself being 28 points clear. Whilst not leaving a chance away now for Ronnie to try and come back to the table in the next couple of shots, because he's got a couple of reds to try and pick his way through. And even if Ronnie was to come back to the table, you know, the clearance is going to be a lot more difficult for Ronnie to try and achieve than it is going to be for Higgins to try and get over the finish line. So just having a look one more time to see. 33 points is the gap that he has. And trying to go for this red into the corner. Make sure that he's going to avoid the contact on the pink, unless he's actually playing for the pink, which was the case. And he's just manages to avoid the contact on the pink nicely, whilst barging the red out of the way. So the pink to be returning back on its own spot is going to be a bit of a problem here for Higgins in a couple of shots time. But it still feels like he's trying to take it on just one shot at a time there. Especially with the pink being pretty much exactly the same one as he missed in the previous frame. Didn't prove to be too costly out there, as Ronnie was still there to make another error. And now Higgins finds himself 40 points clear, 75 points left. And still looking to try and make his way through. 3 more reds to be very closely bunched up together, right next to the pink spot. Forming a little bit of a triangle after he's taking this red into the right corner, which, I mean, if you can count the black cushion red to be the one which is available for Higgins, which probably, I have to say, it's on the fence. You know, it's not the one that is going to be difficult for you to try and roll in if you only need the red. But, you know, the problem with those type of shots is that you need to have that cue ball to be positioned with a bit of the angle to try and take the white through that shot, which always leave you with a little bit too much to try and do on those particular type of shots there, especially with Higgins. Well, he's messed that one up. Unless he's going to have a chance to try and take a plant into the right corner, he's going to have a very difficult journey to be lined up for the red to be taken without that plant, because he'll need to take that cue ball so much lower down the table than what he is going to be positioned right now. It's a decent effort that from John, but it seems like he's overplayed that shot with a bit too much power, and still finds himself being 46 points clear. Frame still live. It is, to be fair. It won't be if this red is taken, though, because that will get it down to 2 more shots there that Higgins needs to play. And he's always going to be playing for, I assume, the blue, which will get that cue ball to be a little bit further up the table and further away from those reds that he potentially can try and miss into the right corner as well. And yeah, just positioning himself for a rare shot here. This one is, once again, it's marginal, because you would expect Higgins to try and cut this one in, but at the same time, we've seen those type of shots to be missed already, and this one is certainly going to go straight into the heart of the pocket, and he's almost played this one a little bit too well because of the pace of the cue ball. He's underrun for the blue, and this will leave him with 2 more shots there before he can say that frame is going to be over and done with. Of course, the pink will get him somewhere like 50 points clear, and then the next red will make sure that he's going to have a decent opportunity to try and leave Ronnie O'Sullivan to be eating snookers. Yeah, this is awkward, you know, because the pink has to be taken, and also he needs to make sure that he either takes the pink spot with the cue ball, which means that he needs to stun the white on exactly the placement of the pink, and he sort of done that nicely because he left himself with a margin so that he wasn't actually playing, you know, for the cue ball to be taking that pink spot, whatever happens. But it seems like it's going to come away with a really nice bonus of trying to take this one away into the red corner, and he's done that quite well. Now 54 points is the lead for John Higgins, and he's about to have another opportunity to be going for the black here into the corner. And that, of course, will eliminate any sort of chances for Ronnie to be coming back to the table, because now the comeback is going to be completed, and John Higgins, take about 9-4 down, he finds himself being right back in this match 5 frames later after, you know, that green that Ronnie O'Sullivan's missed. I mean, even I will say it's not going to matter massively, and he may still leave Higgins to be alive, because I'm pretty sure that was right after the scoreline of 9-4, and it was for Higgins to try and get that 5th frame on the board in the end, what a difference one of those frames can make sometimes. And now, Higgins is just going to be putting on a little side quest that could turn it into a massive break there. If he's going to make a century out of it, it'll be incredible breakout there. You'll have to leave himself with a couple of things to try and make his way through, because he's got a red on the right side cushion that he'll have to take care of itself. And for now, it seems like he's playing this one really nicely, trying to go for the pink into the left middle. Once again, the confidence is going to be absolutely flowing through John Higgins, because that was, once again, the harder version of the pink that he missed in the previous frame. But now, 83 points later, and O'Sullivan is the one that surely is going to be the runner-up in terms of the favourite for the frame. And, for the next frame, yeah, and for the entirety of the match as well. Higgins is one of those players that, if he manages to switch up the engine and go into gear 4 himself, it's going to be very difficult to try and make a competitive match out of it. And even someone like Ronnie may seem to struggle to try and make it out of him. And, yeah, if you're going to play this yellow in towards the green pocket, he may still try and keep this century to be alive. And he's just about taking that one nicely. And is he going to be positioned for the green? He will be. So doesn't want to be trying to bridge over the entirety of the table, which will make it a little bit of a lengthy shot there. But certainly worth it now, as he's made it as the highest break of the entire match there for him. He's had the break of 83 points in the second session as well. Can he try and make it the first century break here of, the third session for himself? And so he could play something that Ronnie a lot of time lets his game down to. Yeah, but realistically, I probably wouldn't say that it's, something that cost him this frame. Do you think the winner of this game will win the championship? Well, that's what happened last 5 times that they've played the Crucible. In 2022, 2011, 2007, 1996. Every single time there was a match in between Higgins and O'Sullivan. It was never in the final, as far as I'm aware. But every single time it happened, the winner of the clash has gone on to win the entire title. And one thing I have to say, just because Ronnie lost 5 frames on the bounce doesn't mean that he can try and turn this one around. But the problem is, he's not going to have so much of the crowd support on his side now, because of the support that he's going to be taking towards John Higgins. But he's now managed to take it into a century break, and it will be a really good execution for him at the end, as it is a break of 118 points there from John Higgins, and at 118 points that Ronnie O'Sullivan had to watch through and struggle with his opponent getting the better of the two of those great legends. And now John Higgins 9, Ronnie O'Sullivan 9. For the first time since the first frame, it will be down to a really close matchup here, and Higgins manages to make a draw despite being 6-2 down, despite being 9-4 down. It is now going to be a very much advantage to John Higgins. Can he try and make the most out of this advantage, or is it going to be down to just not enough for him to try and get over the finish line quickly? But now it still seems like it is going to be a decent opportunity here for Higgins to try and make things right for himself. And as I say, for now, it still comes away as a really decent opportunity for John Higgins to try and just get as many of those frames to be won as you can, because ultimately that's what wins you those sort of matches. And if you don't get yourself to be comfortable, then listen, the best way for you to win those type of matches is that trying to build on the momentum whilst you can, because you never know when Ronnie might come away with a really good win of his own, and he may still be very comfortable in relation to just getting over the finish line without further hesitation. So what a match. Listen, it's a perfect scoreline that we have got ahead of ourselves. Whether it's going to be the perfect performance, let's have a look at how Selby and Weezer are doing. Selby found himself to be 9-7 down, and he's now finding himself 10-7 down, but with a century break. Well, I tell you what, Weezer and Mark Selby are certainly putting on a great battle there for the fans. And now, Ronnie O'Sullivan and John Higgins, 6 more frames, I should say. Not 7. If it is to go the distance. Yeah, he will be down to 7, wasn't it? Yeah, 7 more frames if the match is to go the distance. We've seen an incredible decider last year with John Higgins against Mark Williams, but he had to be taken to the last black. I'm pretty sure he was in the quarterfinals though, but it still was in the first to 13 of a clash, before Williams eventually managed to beat Higgins, beat Trump, and lose out to the eventual winner of Xiaoxington. Well, really interesting to see the response of Ronnie finally out there to be on the horizon, because for now, It still seems like he's the one struggling. He's the one that cannot produce a stellar performance here. And well, Higgins once again has been left with a decent chance to try and take the red into the corner. He's not going to be going for any sort of mercy. But of course, one miss sometimes can make a bit of a difference to you. And well, I didn't expect that miss to come here. Has he got away with this one? He's going to be close. I feel like he's just about left this red on there for Ronnie. It's not anywhere near as easy as he could have been there had the double kiss been avoided between the cue ball and the red. But still, at least it gives Ronnie a chance. But ultimately, what is this chance going to lead up to? Because, you know, taking a red is difficult in itself. Trying to play for the black here is going to be double as difficult. As Ronnie just needs to make sure to try and clear the path there for the cue ball to travel towards that red. As he carefully makes that red to be heading towards the right corner. So what's it going to be here? Well, it's a difficult cut to be taken without having to worry about the black. And he's overcut it. Unfortunately, that was always going to happen. Ronnie just seems like he's not playing well. And he needs a chance. It's going to be easier than that. And I wasn't actually lucky if he's going to be on the colour. And he probably would not have been nicely. Yeah, he would not have been on the black anyway. He probably would have missed the black anyway. So, unforced errors, you know, 12 of those from Ronnie O'Sullivan. And at the end, usually an unforced error against John Higgins means a really good chance for Higgins to try and come away stronger. And for now, it does seem to be the reality. What can Higgins try and do with his red to be taken into the right corner? Is he going to try and play this one for the black, or is he going to try and take this one all the way for the blue? For now, can't really tell, to be honest with you, but it probably will come down to a decent opportunity for Higgins to try and play for the black here with, you know, just play that red like it's a cut there. Make sure you get plenty of action on the cue on the side cushion and bring it closer to the black, which is exactly what he's done. Played that shot really well. And now, over to you, John Higgins. For the first time in this match, can he try and take the lead here? Because that is going to be a hell of a story to be written. 19 frames down. Can he try and find himself in the lead here? Still, plenty of points for him to try and pick out here. But he's got a couple of those loose reds to try and make his way through first. Before he's going to try and get over to the impossible task of trying to win the frame with a single visit to the table. Without actually trying to go into the back here, which, I mean, I'd probably say someone that would have fancied these chances of trying to take this break away would have been actually Ronnie, if he's been playing well. Now, Higgins, he doesn't want to be straight in the blue. Once again, it seemed like probably the biggest mistake of Higgins so far in this match has been the factor of him just not getting enough cue action on the cue ball and just always underrunning, whether it's going to be for the red, for the blue, for the pink, or for the black. But one thing that he's managed to do superbly well is that whenever there is a mistake like that, he's always seeming to sort of get away with that mistake and find himself to be positioned perfectly with the next couple of shots. And, you know, having that ability to try and put yourself out of pressure and out of trouble when you have got a great technique and a great bottle to come with you as well. Certainly is going to be something and a way to describe John Higgins. Although he's played for, you know, 3 reds that he's got available to be taken into the corner. One of them is a clear-cut chance to try and play for the blue. In the end, is he going to be trying to see that cue ball to go for the black? Because he wants to try and take the lowest one of those reds away. But it seems like he's not really going to be too confident whether he can see enough of that red. So he's going to go for the red, which will get him closer towards the blue here. So we have to, he's actually played for the black, which is surprising. And manages to just take the pace away from the cue ball and just try and drop that one in behind of the right side cushion and play carefully for the black. Now to be taken into the left corner. Now 15 points clear is John Higgins going to be. And is he going to try and go for a chance of taking this red away into the right corner? Or is he going to have to try and force himself to be heading for a shot into the left middle? Well, I mean, in the end, it seems like he's going to be finally positioned for the red to be taken into the middle, but still going to be a little bit of distance for him to try and recover from this one here. So 22 points is the advantage, having 2 more reds available to him, having to play. But there's not a way that he can try and play for the pink here, which would have been the ideal solution here, but if he can try and drop that cue ball to be lined up for the blue, it'll certainly be a nice lineup for him. And just try and play this shot with a little bit of action. And for once, seems like he's actually played that one absolutely spot on. So he leaves himself with a couple of options here. Probably the one of trying to hold the cue ball for the red is going to be out of the window. So you either give that cue a huge bounce of the black ball cushion, or you just make sure that if you're going to try and split the pack, you do it right now. But it seems like he's just trying to do it with, well, is he trying to go for the pack split? He is. And the swing seems to have worked out absolutely perfectly. And once again, take a bow, John Higgins, because he manages to make a really difficult position into the one that is going to be difficult for him to try and mess around with. 28 points of a lead, and such a good opportunity to try and find himself in the lead of this match for the first time ever in relation to 2026. And, I mean, he's used loads of that pocket out there, but that clearly was a technical thing because he's still going to be positioned perfectly for the black and just about top side of it, which is going to be extra crucial for him as well. Vintage Higgins, yeah, I mean, one thing you have to say about Ronnie is that, you know, yes, he hasn't played well, but you have to give, for now, a massive shout out to Higgins because it seems like he's managed to turn back the clock. And, you know, we all remember that, not final, but the second or third round of 2011, 2007, and 1996. I genuinely thought Ronnie was going to be too strong for Higgins there because of him having a bit of a bad spell in the Tour Championship. Didn't play too well in the World Open either after being eliminated in the first round by Stan Moody, but seems like he's managed to recover after that nervy match with Carter as well. And something that you always have to expect from Higgins is that he never gives up, and just because he was 9-4 down doesn't mean too much to himself, and he's clearly proven that time and time again. So then just because he's taken a bit of an extra time on those shots doesn't really mean anything. He's not quite doing a Peter Ebdon of 12 points on a 5-minute break. And just making sure that he carefully takes the red away into the, takes the black away into the corner. Finds a really good line with placing that cue ball to be lined up for the reds to be taken into the left-hand side of the table again. So now on the break of 44 points here. And Ronnie pick and choose his tournament. It shows why out of it. Well, I genuinely thought that being, it probably is going to be a great chance for him because if he's going to try and play that red away, play the tournament away whilst being fresh off the, you know, a nice little tournament that he had in golf of John Virgo Trophy. But it seems like even though Higgins was playing quite a few matches in the Tour Championship, he was first to 10 all of them and having a lot more of sort of nervy clash with Ali Carter in the first round, as opposed to 10-2 of a win of Shego John there for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Now, it seems like it doesn't really matter, because Higgins is able to certainly have plenty of power in himself, plenty of ability to try and come back stronger. And even when he doesn't go for those brilliant long reds, still finds himself in a position where Ronnie will miss the next red, and now 53 points later, well, I'll tell you what, it'll take loads of ability there from Ronnie to try and recover on the next frame, because he wasn't able to take it with a really good opportunity here with that red to be taken into the corner. And it's only a matter of time until Higgins sort of eliminates that option to be available for Ronnie and sort of goes for the kill without leaving a chance away. And Ronnie needs to win the next frame, no doubt. Ronnie's under pressure right now, and he needs his confidence back again. That is true. The problem is neither of those things are going to happen if you ask me. Because, you know, just because Higgins managed to win 3 frames in a bounce with Ronnie scoring, 50 points in those 3 frames, and pretty much every single one of those points to come in the first frame as well, when he had a decent chance, missed that red into the corner to try and make it 10-7 of a win, and everything seems to have gone downhill for him ever since that point as well, as he finds himself now 66 points down, 75 remaining. So if this red to be taken here with Higgins will put him 67 points clear, whilst having exactly the same number to be ahead of himself as well. As he rolls that red in, still going to be positioned nicely for the red to be taken, for the black to be taken, I should say, as a frame ball. And now GG's frame again. Well, it is going to be as soon as the black disappears into the corner, and he does so that right now. 10-9, what a turnaround this has been for Higgins. Even though you feel like he still needs to win 3 more frames, is there really going to be a way back from Ronnie O'Sullivan at this stage? Because Higgins seems like he's managed to turn up with absolutely his A-game here. And the breaks of 71, 75 and 118 all to be made in this particular mini session of just 3 frames probably show you everything you need to know about the way that Higgins has turned up. Can he try and make it back-to-back centuries as well? Ronnie Stokes since yesterday. Yep, exactly. And wow, Higgins is on fire, exactly. But once again, it just seems like he's making it look so easy for himself, whilst just taking a couple of, steps backwards, making sure that he's gets himself into the snooker IQ to be working fine, takes the right shot, and now he finds himself to be in very much an easy situation to try and pick his reds away. And even though that first session was so dominant from Ronnie, he's about to find himself to be a frame behind. And 10-9 is the advantage here for Higgins. Can he try and finish it off with a century break as well? It will be down to a decent opportunity to try and make that one in. And make sure it will come down to a decent shot here to be taken. Doesn't want to be compromised by another red to be taken into the corner. And 98 points advantage right now. But ultimately, 98 points of a break. So still going for a 1-4-1 here, which is going to be by far the best that any one of the two players has managed over the course of the tournament so far. You know, we've seen a 1-3-9, we've seen a 1-3-7 by Ronnie O'Sullivan to be made. But right now, you know, we're 8 shots away from making a 1-4-1 here, although it doesn't seem like he's going to be too keen on playing for the black for the last reds as well. And it is going to be back-to-back centuries again out there from John Higgins. That just seems like he's managed to find so much rhythm, so much momentum, and certainly manages to thrive on those mistakes to be made very consistently there by Ronnie O'Sullivan. So a break of 107 points, trying to take the black away with topspin to be played. And look at that. So effortless, but so brilliant. You know, doesn't need so much cue power to try and get that cue around the angles. Still position himself nicely for the yellow to be taken into his own pocket. And now 114 points. Make that 116 as he makes it with the yellow. So I thought he was going to try and play for the blue. And in the end, that 1-4-1 of a clearance still is very much on the card here for Higgins, especially if he manages to make out of the blue to be taken into the left middle and then makes a successful transition all the way in towards the pink. For now, it still seems like it's going to be very much on the cards for him as he carefully takes the brown away towards the yellow pocket. Make sure that he's still going to be positioned for 1, 2, 3 points of a break. And now, probably the only point in the last 60 points or so where he's going to potentially go wrong here for Higgins. It doesn't seem like that's the case. And yeah, it just gives a little nudge towards that pink, puts it closer towards the side cushion, but ultimately puts it closer to the left corner as well. So now just try and roll that one in with no power. Oh, I mean, he missed that one up. Unfortunately, it won't be a 1-4-1 of a clearance, but it's still going to be a fantastic break of 128 points. And Ronnie O'Sullivan exits the arena and needs to make sure he's not going to be doing that for, well, the duration of the match there, because now 9-4 was his gap over John Higgins and has been turned into 10-9 of a deficit here. And are you backing to win? Well, I mean, listen, if you asked me yesterday at 9-4 down, I would have said it could easily finish with 13-4 to be won. But right now, I mean, it's difficult to say Ronnie, to be honest with you. The easy prediction is obviously going to be Higgins, because it doesn't look like Ronnie's going to be able to win any one of those remaining frames. And you probably would expect it to get only worse at this stage, unless he gets an easy chance right now. But yeah, he will come down to Higgins having a decent opportunity here to try and make things right badly for himself. But Ronnie's still in this only one frame. Yeah, but Kevin, the problem is, you know, the problem that you have to cause over the entirety of those last 6 frames there. 9-4, I was the one that said it's only one frame, it doesn't matter. Yes, that green was a bit of a pain, but listen, he'll be able to recover and he could still try and win this match very comfortably. That was the 9-4. Because he was still fighting for that frame even after he missed that green. He wasn't really, to be fair, because he was trying to make snookers. But you know what I mean. 9-5 down, I was the one that was saying, yeah, he'll come back. And he hasn't played a good frame ever since. You have to call out for what it is right now to me. Higgins can't lose this match from a logical point of view. And if Ronnie's not able to try and get himself through to his A game again, well, listen, it will be comeback of the season for me. Because... you know, tell me someone that was able to do that against Higgins. Tell me someone that has been able to do that against Higgins when Higgins is playing well and he's actually leading the scoreline. You know, we can all say that fantastic comeback against Selby, but Selby was leading, and that was brilliance from Higgins. O'Sullivan doesn't really come across as a player that is going to be able to overturn those gaps. He's brilliant when it comes to being a front runner. Doesn't really come across as a player that is able to dig really deep, and he said that himself. You know, when things don't go well, seems to find himself in all sorts of troubles. Could be a good one for Ronnie to win. Yeah, it'll be an absolute cracker, but once again, I'll be here for it. And for now, he just needs to make sure he takes it one shot at a time and gets himself into a decent opportunity to try and make things right. And that's certainly not the way to do it. I mean, that was close to being a disaster already, and that's only the first shot that he's played. Yeah, I mean, you can just sense there's going to be frustration in the air, and there's ultimately going to be a little bit of disappointed as well, because Higgins still finds himself in a position of pretty good control here, I would say, because he finds himself in a situation where he's going to have a decent a decent situation with all those reds to be positioned ahead of himself. So if he wants to try and go for an aggressive long shot, he probably can afford to be doing that. Because tell me, even if you leave something easy away for Ronnie, is Ronnie going to be able to take that one all the way? I'd say that's a bit of a long shot as it stands. As he's going to be looking for those reds to be taken here towards the top hand side of the table. Higgins for now refusing to try and play the aggressive game. He doesn't need to be doing that. And Ronnie certainly needs to make sure that red is going to go over the middle. And he's just about going to do that. So not too comfortable in the end, but he manages to put Higgins into a bit of a problem here. Because, of course, if that red is not seeing, then it's difficult for you to try and play a cross double out of, even if you can see the edge of it. But, you know, even if you talk about the right-hand side of those reds to be seeing there, it's not going to be too easy for you to try and play that cue ball without sort of managing to touch either blue or red on your way up the table. Hence why Higgins clearly feels like it's going to be the safest thing for him to do. And he certainly had to make sure he's got plenty of power behind that shot. Trying to play it off the left side cushion. You know, if you're on the run, or if you play too close to the bottom half of that bunch, then he's certainly going to have a chance to leave a red over to Ronnie. For now, it's certainly something that hasn't happened. And Ronnie's going to have a chance of just trying to get that cue ball to be running away towards the ball cushion. But once again, a misjudgment on the pace. The cue ball is not quite perfectly lined up for the ball cushion. And it's going to be a chance here for Higgins to try and stun the cue ball to be lined up for the blue. Well, I mean, this is such a carbon copy of the red that he was able to take in such a crucial frame. I'm pretty sure he was down at 9-7. May have been 9-6. No, pretty sure he was down at 9-6. So in that 15 frame of the deciding red, and he was playing for the blue. Well, let's see if he can try and cue this one. I feel like the red was slightly closer towards the corner pocket, but it's certainly something that is not going to be impossible for Higgins, and he's going to be able to take this one away. Wow, what a shot that is, and you never get tired of quality like this from John Higgins, because that was absolutely brilliant. Even though he caught a little bit of the front jaw, it still manages to be perfectly behind the blue. Now over to you, John Higgins. Can you try and make things right once again? And is it going to be another Luca Brissell? Remember, quarterfinal, race to 13. O'Sullivan has got 10-6 of a lead. And, you know, that's 16 frames for you to be played. So that's 2 sessions of a lead that he has. And then it's completely fallen apart for him after he came away to the 3rd session to get started. Is Higgins going to be on the black? It's going to be very close. And it seems like the disappointment in his face probably tells you that he's not going to be lined up on the black, certainly perfectly and comfortably. Oh, I mean, can he just about get through to it? Seems like it's a little bit too close. But the fact that he's thinking about it, he clearly feels like he's got a chance. I mean, he didn't have to play that previous shot with so much power. Nope. The answer is he's not going to go for it at the end. And he's going to have to try and get himself another opportunity here. A repeat of Luca Brissell exactly. As soon as Ronnie goes out, I'm going to stop watching. Well, it's a shame, but that's probably going to be the way for a couple of people as well. The game should have finished 13-5. Ronnie should be through to Neltel resting for the next game. But Neltel 10-9 playing trash. As much as it's harsh, not really a lot I can say about it. He hasn't played it well at all since 9-4 of a gap was the reality. And he's going to be looking now. It's been 10-9 down. And he's very fortunate that Higgins didn't have a chance to be on the block. And he will be down to a decent opportunity to try and take that cue ball away from the left-hand side of the table. And just make sure that you don't get too much of the contact for those reds, because if you do so, inevitably, you're going to force one of them to be over the right corner. Hence why Ronnie's trying to go for the right-hand side anyway to be taken, which, you know, unless he gets that cue ball to be behind the yellow, which he's going to be close at. And, well, is he overrun for it? Seems like he's played a really nice safety shot there, Ronnie, because at this stage, you won't really have too many of those easy ways for Higgins to try and play a decent safety shot out of this one. Ronnie frustrated and will make him lose. Lucky for Ronnie there, Higgins didn't get on the black. Yes, that was true. But he's still going to be able to get through to those reds. So ultimately, all that advantage of a safety doesn't seem like is going to lead to anything. Apart from, of course, if Higgins catches those reds too thick. And he has done so. So he's going to catch the brown. Is he going to be punished for it though? Because, I mean, if that was on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side of the table, closer to the green pocket, then certainly would have been a red available for Ronnie to try and take. But what can he try and make out of this situation here? Apart from just taking a safety shot. There wasn't a chance for him to try and pot that red into the corner. He caught the yellow a little bit as well, but in the end, he still manages to put the cue ball to be somewhat safe towards the ball cushion. And yeah, then he will be down to a decent opportunity here for Higgins to try and regain advantage here. Once again with his safety battle. Trying to make sure he gets those reds to be closer to the main pack. And for now, it does seem like, even though, of course, Ronnie's going to be famous for that great opportunity of his, when he gets himself amongst those reds, even though he's going to have a bit of a problem with the colours, it always seems like he's able to solve that problem. For now, I'd probably have to say the same about Higgins. And Ronnie seems like whenever there is going to be a minor problem for him to come across with, it's going to be down to a mistake there to be seen, as we have witnessed in the previous frame of the reds, that he wasn't able to pot into the corner. Now just carefully trying to take another red towards the main bunch. Of course, doesn't really want to be getting involved with too many of those safety shots to be played, but for now, they are the only thing that is keeping him here, with still not being 2 frames down here. The 8th is the straw that broke him. He knew at 9-6 when Ronnie missed the pink, this match was over and he would lose. Yeah, I felt like I know which one you're talking about, but I can't remember it, so I'm not going to go back. But there's so many opportunities there that Ronnie had. You know, that green, the red that he missed at the starting point of this particular session. And Higgins, he's been knocking on the door of a mistake here. And is he now going to leave a chance away for Ronnie? It certainly seemed like, you know, Ronnie was actually getting the better of Higgins in the safety battle, which, you know, was a surprising thing to see there. But ultimately, how many points can he score out of this situation? Can he try and go for the reds into the right corner? And if he does, what's the situation going to be with the pink and black? Because for now, the pink seems like it's going to be possible into the right middle, but there's no way in a million years he's going to be able to get on there. So it's either try and separate the black away from those reds, which is not, wow, I mean, that's a nasty queuing that he's leaving himself with trying to do. And also he needs to make sure he actually gets the red in. 38 minutes since the last pot time. Has he got that one in? As he has. But is he going to be on the blue? Absolutely not. The yellow is a little bit closer towards his own pocket though. So that might leave him with a chance to try and take that yellow away. And there is going to be a red over the pink, which can try and take into the left corner as well. Ronnie in, black and pink tied up. That is true. But the yellow is available. Can he try and take that with full power? He has done so. He needs to try and avoid the contact on the blue. And he hasn't done him any sort of a favour, because that's going to be 3 points scored. And that will be the end of break as well. So, yeah, well, I mean, it's a decent 2 shots there. But ultimately, the second one was probably a little bit too much to ask of himself. And now just trying to clearly play a safety shot. Well, I mean, I thought he was going to try and go for a safety shot. In the end, clearly fancied his chance to try and go for another red to be taken. How well has he managed to execute this cut, even though he didn't even touch the front jaw at all? Well, listen, maybe there is going to be a bit of a resurrection there from Ronnie, because it's a really good pot on the yellow in the previous red, but that one certainly leaves him position on the brown. And can he try and take this one away, miss the blue, and get closer? But, well, once again, the queuing and the positional success just seems like it's all over the place there with Ronnie. But he's managed to recover on the previous 4 shots. Can he try and make it 5 and do that until he manages to be nicely lined up for either one of those colours or reds? So, yeah, just carefully position himself for that red. He's just about able to get past the blue to see the cut-off point on the red, to be taking that one into the corner. But the problem for him, once again, he can't really put all that control and all the trust in being on the colour here, because he's probably going to be guaranteed to be touching the pink, which will leave him with a difficult shot there to be played. And once again, I mean, he's overplayed for this one. He is still going to be on the blue, but he's leaving it 1 shot at a time as it stands, because even though he has got a decent situation here to try and take the blue into the corner, he will still find himself in a position where, sort of, where's the next red coming from? He's looking to try and position himself for the red to be taken into the corner. And if he gets closer to the side cushion, that might actually be a decent opportunity there for him. So, yeah, I mean, losing is never an option there for Ronnie. He's always going to try and dig himself out of trouble. Yeah, the fact that he's not taking the blue one is a little bit weird to me, because if the red that he's looking for at the right corner is going to be available, then surely that's the shot for you to go for. And that's the only way that he can try and get himself through to potentially trying to free up the black as well. You can see the drawing is done there, but he keeps looking over towards the bold colours, and it just seems like he's stuck there in between the two options of taking the yellow, taking the blue on. I mean, he's even thinking about taking the brown on potentially, because that will leave the cue ball to be sliding off the bulk and then the right side cushion as well. The end decision is the yellow. Well, what can he try and make out of this one? Says that he got the yellow to be in, and the contact points, and needs that cue ball to slow down. Needs that cue ball to slow down right now. And is he going to be lined up for the red here to be taken into the corner? The crowd certainly feel like he is. And if that is the case, he's played some really good shots there to get himself through to this situation. And just looking at a careful position here on the red to be taken into the corner. So then, I mean, once again, trying to play for the pink is not really going to be an option here for him, unless he tries to give it a nudge towards the right middle. And, well, he's sort of trying to hold that cue ball back there from the pink. So still getting himself into an opportunity here to try and make plenty of things to go right for him. So trying to go for the red in towards the left corner is going to be an option, but only in the sort of in the case of him being lined up for those reds to be taken into the middle. And even in that case scenario, it's still not going to be quite as easy as you would have thought about. It's going to be a great quest there for Ronnie, because if he manages to win the position from here, it's certainly going to be a really nice ending to this particular session, because it still gets it down to 10 frames to 10. Ultimately, you would have broken that curse of not being able to do anything with those particular frames, and then that will leave us with a potential 5 more frames to be available. So if he's going to be down to taking this pink into the right middle, carefully playing for those reds to try and get in behind of them, and whatever he was, says that he doesn't seem like he's happy with the way he's ended up on this red. Don't really understand what is going to be wrong with this one, but he's going to clearly go for a plant. Or at least he's thinking about going for a plant. Don't really understand what he doesn't like about this red, because he clearly can just nudge the cue ball into the other red, get that one out of the way, be lined up for the pink. As long as he doesn't get too close to it, should be lined up nicely here. And the next positional shot on the red shouldn't be too much of an issue anyway. And yeah, he will be down to taking the pink in towards the left middle. Playing that shot carefully with backspin here on the cue ball. And make sure he gets himself lined up nicely for the red to be taken into the right corner once again. So 25 points is the lead here for Ronnie. And let's see the position that he finds himself in to try and make things right there. Because just a matter of time until he's going to get closer and closer here towards the cutoff point here for Higgins. So that John might actually find himself to be coming back to the table here, because that will certainly be one of the best breaks that we've seen from Ronnie, because especially at such a difficult time that it seems to have come for him. But after all that, seems like he's committed to be taking this plant in to the left corner. The good news is he doesn't have any reds to be bridging over for, and he gets another red to be further away from the black, which may actually see him to be lined up for the black in a couple of shots time there. But of course, I feel like he was trying to be on the black here, and even if he would have been on the black, he would have been sending the cue ball away from those reds. And right now, he needs to try and find a way of playing this pink in the way that will sort of get the cue ball towards a little bit closer to those 5 remaining reds at the table, because now it's going to be 46 plays 7 if the pink disappears, and he will. He's trying to give a little nudge towards the reds and get that one out away from the black, and he seems to have played that shot about as well as he could have. So once again, great shot there from Ronnie, positioning himself nicely for the red to be taken into the corner. So you feel like he's certainly going to try and make this one to work for himself. Although, I'm not sure if that was the case. He was playing for that black to be taken into the middle, it would seem. But still needing to get a couple of more points on the board. And inevitably, it'll probably come down to taking the black and, well, 3 more shots there, the black and the red, and then 1 more colour of the choice of Ronnie, and then he should be down to 10 frames each before the intermission. What a great story that's going to be to potentially be written. And just make sure you miss that front jaw. Has he managed to get that black in? Yes, he has. And now getting himself through to be lined up on the shot penultimate to the frame ball. The blue is going to be slightly lower than its own spot. The black is going to be taking the blue spot right now. And now he finds himself in a position being 47 points clear, 59 remaining. So just carefully take this shred away. Make sure he's going to play for the blue here. And I'm not sure if he's going to be happy with just trying to be over the finish line. He wants to try and stay on those reds, which potentially could try and force him to be heading for the pink here. So I feel like the easiest shot to try and get on the collar is going to be down to the reds. So he's going to be down to the black here to be taken, but that's not the case. He's over the finish line, to be fair, and he finds himself 55 points clear, 51 at the table. So it's a really nice break there from Ronnie O'Sullivan. And let's see if Higgins is going to try and make a thing out of this positional play and try and get a couple of snookers there to bring those into play and make sure that he keeps that winning streak to very much be with him until the final mini session of 4 frames, well, 5 frames maximum there. Of course, Ronnie is to be seeing a decider once again at the Crucible. Can breathe properly until there's at least 3 snookers. Well, that's going to be a thing there. He's not going to be able to put a red here, so just looking at the position that he finds himself with, still probably the one that he would have taken before this frame was started, especially with Higgins getting those 7 points on the board. Felt like that was going to be a decent opportunity, but that's certainly not a decent shot that he's played. And if there ever was a shot that he would have liked to try and avoid, he's kind of put the black safe somehow. I mean, Higgins can afford to be taking a couple of those reds with the pink, but ultimately not something that you would have been looking for, because right now it will be down to a really good first red that he's taken. And remember, that was the point when he started. It seems to be a bit of a freeze frame here. So, I don't know if I'm the only one that's getting it, but the stream's gone mad. There we go. It's finally going to refresh as soon as hit the refresh button. So now he will be down to Higgins, trying to take the red away into the right corner. Make sure that he's going to be playing that red to try and land on the pink, because unless he's actually going to be committed to try and make contact with the red next to the black, which is going to be difficult for him to try and achieve with the first red to be taken, especially for it to be a rest shot. Just needs to try and carefully roll that red towards the pocket. He's not going to be nicely lined up on the pink though, and it's difficult to say which pocket he's actually going to be looking to try and pot the pink into. So for now, just having a look at the black here, whether he'll go into the yellow pocket or not. He certainly will try and boost his chances as well of trying to get the snooker that he's looking for. Probably has to go for the black now, because even if he takes the pink on, and he's not going to be on the red after it, it doesn't leave it with too much of a sense to be playing that shot there. And in the end, it doesn't seem like he's going to make this black in unless it drops into the green pocket. We've seen that before with Ronnie O'Sullivan, but this time around, the black is just about going to stay at the table, and it will be the end of those 20 frames there to be played, and it will be down to the showdown of best of 5 and first 3 frames out there. It is John Higgins 10, Ronnie O'Sullivan 10 of the last 16, and after 15 minutes time, those 2 great players will certainly put on one great show at last to see on which one of them will be stronger to progress to the quarterfinals, to be seeing either Chris Wakelin or Neil Robertson for a battle to make it into another Crucible semi-final. Stay tuned in, back in action in 15 minutes time.
see the light inside you, brighter than the skies. Hold on, just let us escape and fly away tonight. We have the world in our sight, and I know together we'll be alright. Can you see forever we will go? We are forever learning, one step at a time. As long as the world is turning, I'll be by your side. We'll keep the fire burning, I'll never see you hurt. You know I can't explain it in a way of words. We both know that you'll understand, and you'll see if you take my hand, and I'll go out of my own way for you. I'll go out of my own way.
Suck me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes make my way into your mind. Just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but in the dead of the night, teardrops on the floor. The pain is over. Feel the darkness take control. We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. We're dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. You search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars. We're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious.
here I am. 'Cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy.
Right then everybody, the intermission is now almost over, and as we're ready to welcome the players, let's have a brief look to see on what is happening at the second table as well. And meanwhile, we have got a very similar scoreline with Mark Selby trying to make sure that he is going to produce that comeback from being 10-7 down to trying to get himself through to the intermission of the third session, whilst the scoreline being even at 10 frames all. For now, it is Weezer that is trying to get himself out of a snooker situation, needs to make sure he gets a good contact on the cue ball, and he seems to have played that shot just about well enough so that he's not going to leave Mark Selby with too many of those points, and in the end finds himself with 36 points of a lead whilst having 99 points available. And yeah, very surprising 20th frame, I'll be honest with you, very positive surprised with how well Ronnie was playing at that point. And now he still puts himself in a position where it is going to be anyone's match for the taking, anyone's win for the taking, and anyone's place in the quarterfinals to be confirmed. Because right now you feel like, you know, especially before that 20th frame, he could have said easily that Higgins is going to try and just keep that 9 with O'Sullivan very much until the end point of the match. Now it's not going to happen. Could it be a thing which, you know, potentially resurrects Ronnie and forces him to play a lot better than what we've seen so far today? And could still be very important move for him in relation to that 8th world title. Still looking to try and win it. And the meanwhile, as I say, Weezer still looking to try and get himself through the safety battle with Mark Selby. There's a couple of difficult reds here on the way of Weezer, but ultimately, you know, they could also be the reds that are going to be difficult for Mark Selby out there. Depends on what's going to happen with the safety battle here, as he takes that cue ball towards the green pocket, manages to somehow miss that contact point on the blue and the green, and still forces that white to be positioned pretty nicely at the top hand side of the table, as now the two legends make the walkout for the last time today. And is it going to be John Higgins to try and complete the comeback from being 9-4 down, or is it going to be Ronnie O'Sullivan that, despite losing 6 frames on the bounce, still leaves himself with a decent opportunity to try and make things right here? And it is going to be, of course, Ronnie that is going to break for the frame number 21. He's going to be doing that for all the odd frames. Can he try and make things right once again? He was a brilliant break there at the end of that first mini session that allowed him to escape without a 4-0 of a defeat and lose 7 frames on the bounce, of course, as well. You know, plenty of different frames, plenty of those where we've seen great action there from both Johnny and John and Ronnie. But at the same time, you know, majority of them have been won by Higgins due to his great ability of getting over the line. But as some of you might say, in the 16th frame, certainly was getting plenty of run of the ball as well. Now then, it's a good shot there Ronnie plays, but has he managed to leave this red away for left corner to be taken? And even though he seems to have done that, John Higgins still decides not to be doing things that, to be fair, have been working out pretty nicely for him. And just trying to take that red towards the top hand side of the table, playing safe. And he will leave him in a pretty nice position in relation to trying to get over the, you know, starting point here. Not just the finish line, but the starting point, that's for sure. And, well, it's a decent shot there from Ronnie, trying to find the back of the green. And has he managed to achieve that? Tell you what, he has. And ultimately, he put a dangerous red towards the left-hand side of the table. It seemed like John Higgins just about able to see the edge of that red. And he shouldn't be as much of a trouble as I thought, because rolling up to the, you know, left-hand side of the bunch would have been a lot more difficult if you would have had a red very much over the pocket there, trying to be taken into the middle from Ronnie O'Sullivan's point of view. But it doesn't seem to have turned out to be the case. And Weezer, by the way, is still not quite over the finish line, but he's certainly going to be able to get himself through to a scoring opportunity. Trying to get those reds to be taken into the left middle. Playing for the black for one more time. And now getting the points to be available down to 83 here, whilst having 45 points of a lead. And Higgins plays another really good shot there. As long as he's covered the red into the right middle, which seems like he's done, he's not going to have anything for Ronnie that the 7-time world champion to try and use here. And just trying to give a little kiss towards those reds, and well, he's actually justified that one, and yeah, he's overcut that red, and in the end barges that cue to be heading straight into the yellow. So now he will be down to another opportunity for Higgins to try and put a little bit more rhythm on himself and avoid to be losing out on the opportunity here to be taken, as Weasley's not able to take all of those looser reds away, and he leaves himself with 52 points of a gap while still having, you know, plenty of those points available for Selby. And another decent shot away from John Higgins as he gives it back to Ronnie O'Sullivan. So Selby himself is now going to try and look for the opportunity to get that gap down in between Weezer and himself, and make sure that he's still going to be looking to try and achieve the perfect scoreline for him after being 10-7 down. As another decent safety there comes in from Ronnie O'Sullivan, manages to get that cue to be perfectly lined up for the cushion, and leaves himself with a decent chance to try and well, not leave too many of those chances away for right corner, but ultimately feels like Higgins is going to potentially have a chance to try and take one of those reds away, even though of course it won't be easy for him, but he will come down to a very important shot here to be taken. And can Higgins actually go for that red? You'll have to be wait and see on that one. And meanwhile, Selby was trying to split those reds away from each other, hasn't really worked out, and then he'll be down 45 points whilst having 75 ahead of himself. As Higgins now about to take that red on, surely, because of how much time was taken on this shot. And look at that for a brilliant long red, taken straight into the heart of the pocket, and now just needs that cue to keep on running until it reaches the green, and he should be positioned nicely for that one. I mean, the fact that he couldn't play for the black or pink made that pot so much more difficult, because he couldn't try and commit to the shot without playing that shot with too much power, which makes it a lot more difficult for you to try and get so straight into the corner pocket. Higgins managed to achieve that pretty well, and now we'll be down to taking the green here and trying to make sure that you know, he doesn't leave too many of those opportunities away for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Takes all of those to himself. So for now, the transition all the way from the green and towards the next red, it's not going to be an easy one, but you feel like as long as he doesn't finish perfectly onto the black ball cushion, he should be lined up nicely for those reds, and he is going to be lined up for the reds. But is it not going to be, well, is it going to be possible for him to try and get that red into the corner? It seems like he might just about not see enough of the pocket out there to try and take those reds without, you know, sacrificing too much out there. And it does seem like he will be down too, just playing those shots away. So 4 points there scored by Higgins, a cracking long pot, but in the end couldn't quite do enough on the green, and now forces himself to be taking evasive action, trying to take the cue ball away to the top hand side of the table. So just needs to try and put that one safe, and then you should be back down to a safety battle to be achieved by two of the players. So now just having one more look to see in relation to those reds that he's trying to take. He didn't want to put one of them to being the open play just in case Ronnie decides to go for that particular red. So in the end of a break of 4 points, he's going to be the best that Higgins can produce. And so he slowly gives the turn back to Ronnie O'Sullivan. As meanwhile, on table 2, it's still going to be a little bit of drama as Selby is going to get his first 4 points away from Weezer. Still 75 at the table and 40 being the difference. It's not gonna, well, it's not looking too good for Weezer here though, because he does find himself snookered, and you know, he's going to be down to potentially leaving a chance away to Selby, and then depending on how many points he's actually going to lose, he will of course define the odds for him to be winning this frame away as well. And now it's a decent shot once again. It was probably more than decent if he's managed to get in behind the brown from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Just about manages to creep in from the right hand side, it would seem, although still leaving the, you know, left hand side to be available for the safety to be played. So you're going to be trying to get himself through to the side of one of those reds to be taken into the paint. Just make sure that you don't get that red to be too close to the pocket. And well, somehow he manages to avoid the contact with the pink. And let's see if that cue was going to roll over the bulk line. No, he won't. It's not going to be even close to that one. So leaves the turn away to Ronnie, and ultimately leaves a couple of options to be available to O'Sullivan as well. It does come down to a very tricky situation here though, because if he's going to be heading for the red into the corner, well, first and foremost, he's going to be bridging over the brown quite awkwardly. which he needs to try and take this red away, and he has done. And is he going to be lucky here? Well, he's certainly got lucky there on a double kiss on the red. And if that pink goes into the right middle, that may be a really good chance to try and really make things right now for him. And we'll come down to a decent opportunity here to be taken by Ronnie O'Sullivan, because he certainly seemed like, previous frame is always going to fire him up to a decent standard of play. Whether he's going to be able to take this one away, we'll have to wait and see. Around 5 or 6 shots later, depends on how the position is going to evolve, because still the black is nowhere to be seen. The pink is technically going to go back on its own spot, but at the same stage, probably will come down to just trying to play for the pink and being around those reds without the good chunk of time, as he takes the first colour away with the reds. Still wants to be on the lower side of those reds pretty much every single time there, and just carefully taking himself through to an opportunity and taking that cue ball towards the either pink or probably blue at this stage, because as much as it is tempting for you to try and play for the black and how close it is going to be towards the right corner, but still feel like, as he asks the cue ball to be cleaned, whilst the Selby score, let's have a look. Whilst the cue ball is going to be cleaned here, see if it's going to be a chance for Mark Selby, and it's going to be a chance for Weezer. Wow, that's a cracking pot, that is. And he can afford to be just doing those type of shots there, Wu, because he finds himself now being more than 40 points clear, whilst only having 67 at the table. Fantastic long red that he's cued absolutely brilliantly. Yes, he's not going to be on the pink, which probably leaves him with a problem position to try and make things right from here. But if he gets the blue in, that's 5 extra points that he can't take away from him, and also is going to try and play for one more red available to him as he gets that cue ball to be hammering home. O'Sullivan has taken that red away into the right corner, and it will be down to, once again, trying to take the pink into the left-hand side of the table. And he will be down to carefully playing those shots for the right corner. Seems like the pocket is going to be getting in the way of his hands, so just wants to try and go back up and try and do it again. And again. Never nice when he does it 3 times, does it? Because it just feels like he's leaving himself a little bit of a problem to do it. This time around, the pink is going to go in, and it doesn't seem like he's managed to sort of lose out on any positional play either. So now he will be, by the way, 54 points of an advantage here for Weezer, and just looking at the potential chance of playing the red safe. And he will be down to an extended rest we will need. So it does seem like, those frames are coming alive in both of those matches. 14 points is going to be the lead here for Ronnie in terms of, sort of on the break. And now he's got a chance to try and play for the black. And I'm very surprised he's not even looking in his direction. And now he's looking for it. But is he going to try and make things easy for himself? He doesn't usually go by that rule. But if he's going to be down to 3 more frames he needs to win, then it's down to whatever you can take. And for now, he clearly feels like taking the pink is going to be the best thing for him. And now it will be down to a decent opportunity to try. And, by the way, Weezer certainly managed to win that frame if he gets the black in, and he has. So it will be down to 11-9 of a lead there in favour of Weezer. So it does seem like certainly one of the players is going to be able to get themselves through towards the finish line, not over the finish line first. But Ronnie's going to be looking to try and make it down to number 11 as well in relation to frames that he's won. And just carefully trying to go for the pink into the left corner. As I say, I was very surprised with the factor of him refusing to go for the black, despite it being very much the colour that he prefers to be doing his brave building around. But now it will be down to, what's the score in Ronnie match? It should be 10 frames each, 28 points to 4 that Ronnie leads by. And he's going to be at the table here as well. So it doesn't seem too bad for him at this stage. But ultimately, another thing you have to mention, he's going to be down. Well, I'm very surprised that Selby's playing on. He's 62 points behind, whilst 51 at the table. So clearly not too keen to go into the intermission just yet. As Ronnie takes another red away into the left corner. And shouts, come on, Ronnie. Well, that was anything but comfortable. He technically does take that red away. And, of course, he sacrificed a little bit of the angle on the pink as well. So he needs to recover and try and steady the ship. And once again, those type of things just seems to be upsetting him there. On something on the tip, something on the cloth, something on the cue ball. Hopefully that it won't take too much time for him to finally hit the shot here. And try and make sure he gets the action that he wants. Got the pink to be straight into the heart of the pocket despite not having too much of it to aim at. So it's still a really nice recovery shot there. as he extends the lead to 31 points. And make sure that he's going to be the one trying to set the pace for this 21st frame. Getting himself through the gears. And as I say, that previous frame came out of absolutely nowhere. But that was always going to be the sign of, Ronnie being capable of trying to produce those type of frames. And even though he's been kept very, very quiet throughout the previous 6 frames, now he manages to sort of win that previous frame, of course. And now get himself through to 32 points of a gap, 91 at the table. And just looking to try and go for the pink into the left corner. Play that cue ball slightly through the reds, so that he's still going to be positioned very straight on one to the right corner. Eventually that will free up another red to be taken into the left-hand side of the table as well. And just so he does it one by one, he's going to leave himself with plenty of options to be available. And just having one more sort of look towards the main plant, to be looking towards the left corner. It doesn't seem like he's too happy with that one though. And just looking at the red that he's looking to try and take into the right corner as well. Play that with plenty of backspin. So for once, he's actually going to try and position himself for the blue. As long as he's going to be the top side of it, which is just about sort of managed to do, still going to be positioned for the red to be taken onto the right side cushion and try and take the red away. Wow, that cue ball is going to be sticking to that cushion a little bit too closely though. And once again, especially with the black being out of position, he needs to probably be taking the red closest to the black ball cushion, because that will allow him to try and play the shot with topspin and still be ended up on the pink to be taken into the middle. But once again, having a look towards the black, which he has been ignoring up to this point. So let's see what's it going to be for him, because, I'm really surprised that he has been ignoring it, because there is going to be he's trying to take the more difficult red away, trying to play for the pink. And has he done that? Yes, he has. Really nicely taken there onto the corner. And of course, that will free up 2 more reds at least to be taken. And that should be more than good enough for Ronnie O'Sullivan to be getting through over the finish line here. And make sure that you will be down to the one of Ronnie O'Sullivan leading by 11 frames to 10. Ronnie's not the snooker player. Ronnie is not the greatest snooker player ever to pick up a cue for not a reason. I feel like you've confused me a little bit, but I understand the point. And listen, I said when he was 10-9 down, this is going to be one of the biggest comebacks he's had in the recent couple of years, because once again, he's such a good front runner, but he's not really a brilliant player that you would expect to try and come back from being a couple of frames down, especially when he's just lost 6 on the bounce. But the previous break, nothing can be compared to it. As he now takes the pink for the frame, he will be now 2 frames on the bounce, and Ronnie seems to find himself back in the 3rd gear, and the next step is going to be gear 4 and 5, and those are going to be the 2 missing frames that he's going to be looking for, as he takes it down to a break of 70 points exactly. So he's going to be looking for a century here, something that we certainly have not been thinking with Ronnie, but we've seen 2 great centuries there to be made by Higgins in frames of 18 and 17. And now just carefully tries to take the pace away from another red. He's going to be positioned nicely for 78 points of a lead. But remember, just because Ronnie managed to do it doesn't mean that Higgins is not going to be able to achieve that as well. And he still finds himself being, having to win 3 out of the remaining 4 frames. And then it will come down to Ronnie to try and achieve very much what he's going to be looking for, because 4 more frames there to be seen. He only needs to try and win 2 more of them, and then he's going to be through to the clash of either Chris Wakelin or Neil Robertson to be played in the quarterfinals, as he now makes it a break of 93 points. Slow down, take his time. Yeah, listen, I'll probably say he's done that in the previous frame, and that allowed him, that's a disappointing miss to have. And he's not going to be happy with himself to miss out on a century break. But anyway, it's going to be a break of 93 points, which still makes it down to the showdown of the top 4 breaks that he's made in the entire match. 11-10 is certainly going to be down to a decent opportunity here for Ronnie to try and take 2 out of the remaining 4 frames. And then he will certainly come down to a good opportunity for either one of the players. And it's still going to be a battle for Weezer and Mark Selby. But surely this red is about to be taken. Well, I thought he was about to be taken. In the end, the reality is going to stay otherwise. So a bit weird to see a mistake like that to occur, because it just leaves that. So what's it now? 55 points is the difference, 43 at the table. So it shouldn't really be too much of a chance here for Selby to try and make a game out of this one. But if it does, it'll be a hell of a comeback this as well. So just tries to get that keyboard to slow down before he goes past being lined up nicely on the black, and I'm not sure if he's going to be actually caring about trying to go for the pink or black here. So, of course, if he takes the black in, that will leave him with, what's he going to be? 47 points down, so 3 snookers needed without a free ball or anything like that. So just try and make sure you get your opportunity taken here. With the black about to disappear into the right middle, into the right corner, I should say. And even though he caught the front jaw a little bit, the pace of that black allowed him to play that shot well enough so that you know, the black has sort of dropped in. Although he has overplayed for the red here slightly, brought that cue ball to be a little bit too close to the red. And ultimately, if he tries to play this one towards the yellow, pink, yellow, green, and brown, it'll still be difficult to try and use that triangle to try and separate the white away from the red. But it's going to be something that he's looking for because he didn't play the previous for no reason. And yeah, just trying to get that cue ball to be sort of touching the yellow and the green. He sort of got them into a nice little cluster where you can sort of play a really dangerous snooker in behind those two. And now Weezer is going to have a nervous look at the scoreboard, which he doesn't need to worry about too much for now. But it still seems like, you know, if tendency of that continues, and Selby's going to get a couple of cheap points here on the board, then he'll certainly come down to a decent chance there for Ronnie to be Selby to be taking. And talk about Ronnie on table number 1. He's got a really nice chance to try and take the red into the middle if he can see past the brown, and he can. Well, this is going to be a bit of a bad break-off there from Higgins at this stage. And does he feel comfortable? I mean, he's probably not going to have that red to be available to him because of the position of the cue ball on that red. But can he try and take this one into the right corner? Seems like he's going to go for a plan B, which is just going to be a safety play, even though he wasn't happy with that one either. Once again, just goes for digging deep, then playing straight forward, and then just digging deep again onto the white. So he's going to go for it after all, but that delay seems to have cost him a little bit. And where's that red going to finish? Seems like he's going to finish just about safe enough so that Higgins won't be tempted too much to try and play this red towards the yellow pocket. So after all that, it still seems like it will be a decent opportunity here to be taken. And it's still 47 points for Mark Selby to try and recover from. But having that cue ball to be so close and in close proximity to the red, he may try and get that cue ball to be close to the black and just make sure that he puts the red to be quite close towards the middle of the table. And he's sort of done that, which won't allow Weezer to be having so much of a freedom there in those reds, and Higgins wasn't able to do anything with that red either. So he will come down to just the shot here to be taken on the left-hand side of those reds. Make sure you get that cue ball to be it. Well, I mean, he's looking for the right-hand side of a shot, which, I mean, I'm a little surprised by that because he's going to play the shot with a little bit of power, unless he really catches those with sort of no contact at all, really thin. And he's done that, but still way too much pace on the cue ball. And now that will leave surely an opportunity away for John Higgins, which, you know, he has been pretty quiet on the last couple of frames. But can he try and take this one away and put himself through to a fairly comfortable lead here in relation to this particular frame? So then he's certainly got the queuing to be sorted out. Can he try and take this red away into the corner without further complications? Seems like he's going to be able to do that, but he didn't want to contact on either one of those reds, and he's sort of lost the cue ball in the mix of those two. And he will come down to a very difficult shot on the blue, which probably is not even worth to be taking on there. As Weezer seems to have lost 6 points here away to Mark Selby. He's not going to lose any more for now, as he catches the red nicely for the left-hand side. And now we'll be down to Selby to try and work out the angles here once again. But, well, Higgins is looking to try and potentially cue the blue into the yellow pocket. It will be a great shot if he makes it work. But, of course, if it doesn't, could be one of his last shots of this particular frame because of the position. But he makes that blue in really, really well. And now, over to you, John Higgins. Can he try and make it down to a decent opportunity here and make it down to 22 frames in and nothing to separate the two players? And he now have a look at the position here. Apart from the black, I probably would say, you know, he doesn't find himself with too many things to worry about. He will come down to just taking this red carefully well. Make sure that he plays that cue ball for the blue again. And the problem with the position probably is going to be, until the latter extent, of not having the black and the pink to be available. So he will be down to a decent opportunity to be taken here with the blue. And if it's going to be down to trying to split the pack here as well. I'm genuinely thinking that he may not actually be worth it, because you've got so many of those reds to try and make your way through. Yes, you're probably bound to leave yourself at least on one of them, but ultimately you're trying to split the pink here away, and well, that was why I wasn't actually a biggest fan of him playing that shot out there, because here he finds himself in a position where he put the pink to be even closer to the main bunch of reds. He didn't really get too many of those reds to be available, and now just carefully trying to take the reds away into the left corner and still play for the blue. So in the end, doesn't seem like he's taken too much of a hit on this particular time, and he will come down to just trying to mix it up with the blue for now. And yeah, it'll be certainly until the end point of a frame where we're going to be able to see the pink and the black to come into play as well. But for now, he's got plenty of those reds, plenty of those colours that he can try and make his way through until the point where he's probably got something like 40 points of a lead, that at least he's got something to try and make his way through. So now Weezer, once again, I mean, finds himself in such a difficult position, whilst Higgins taking that red really well and overplays slightly for the blue. Although it still seems like he's going to be able to try and take the bold colours here. And yeah, just trying to go for the brown into the green pocket. I mean, he's looking at the colour which will give him the best possible angle here. And yeah, looking to go for this green. Trying to play the white off the right side cushion and get that one to be rolling down the table. Has he done enough there? Remember, he still needs the top side of the angles of those reds to be positioned for. And it seems like he's actually overplayed for it. So, unless he's able to get through to one of the three of those reds on the left corner, he will come down to a very nervy situation for him to try and find himself a part of. So, once again, having a look. And in the end, taking that red with, not too much of a doubt. So, played that one pretty well. And he should come down to back for the blue. Once again, top side of it. And positioned nicely. Just trying to take the blue away. So that cube was going to go on the journey. And this time around, I mean, he's trying to split the reds away from the pink. And even though he didn't manage to succeed too well, at least he manages to give himself a little bit more breathing space. And the pink spot to go with it. As the pink goes towards the black ball spot. And a couple of reds surrounding that one as well. And he will be down to another red here. Potentially to try and take in towards the left middle. And when he does that, he should be positioning himself nicely for the blue for a couple of more shots until probably the point where you're going to find himself in a position of, not being too certain on what's going to happen. But at the same time, it shouldn't be really something that, Higgins needs to be concerned about too much right now. Just try and take it with, 3 shots in advance, the blue that he's about to take, and then make sure that he's still going to be on the very much the lower side of a red on the left or the right corner, so that he takes the cue ball on the journey towards the blue once again. But the situation could change in approximately 3 or 4 reds, which by that point, to be fair, is going to be looking nicely to win the frame anyway. So it does seem like it's just going to come down to playing those shots with the cue ball backwards and forwards for the blue, and trying to make sure that every single time, especially when he plays the positional shot for the red, he's got the angle to try and aim for that very specific colour. Because remember, when you've got the reds spread out across the table and you misjudge one of them, you may still be able to recover. That doesn't really work out if you're going to be playing for the blue, as Higgins has done really well once again. And apart from that one time when he had to take the brown into the green pocket, it seems like it's absolutely spot on with his execution here, especially on the positional shot on the blue. And Boise at last is able to take that red away to make sure he will be down to 11 frames to 9, which he's got a lead against Mark Selby after the opening 20 frames. And it does seem like we may still see 2 Chinese players to be standing, as Weezer is only 2 frames away from making it past Mark Selby for surely one of his biggest wins. I mean, I'm not sure if it's going to be bigger than the win over John Higgins in Nanjing, but at the same time, I mean, reaching the world quarterfinals is going to be a great feeling, that, and doing that against a 4-time world champion that has been known for his great sort of shutting down the attacking style player. Certainly going to be a great achievement in his career as well, and to do that at only 22 years of age. Maturity beyond the years there for Weezer. The pot success has been going through the roof in comparison to what we've seen in the opening 10 frames from John Higgins. Rarely was sort of above 85% at that stage. Now he manages to be only 1% away from Ronnie O'Sullivan. And thank you very much, Kevin. And clearly epic till the end. We're going to wait. Yeah, listen, for me, that was I actually forgot to make a prediction for this one as well, but I probably would have said 9-7. I probably would have said Ronnie to win this one 13-10, which already doesn't seem like it's going to be happening if Higgins is able to get himself through a couple more of those reds. I still felt like there was going to be a lot more left in the tank there for Ronnie. I thought, the second session was going to be a bit of a one-off. It wasn't the case for the first 3 frames, and then he sort of managed to get himself back into the action with frames number 4 and 5. But still, seems like Higgins just got, that great ability to try and stay with him, and of course being ahead for one of those times as well. After the 19th frame for the first time. Hello from Ireland, hello to Ireland as well. And yeah, he's going to be on the top side of a blue, trying to take that white towards the pink and a couple more of those reds, so that he gets himself through to a great chance to try and finally separate the pink away from another red. And we'll be down to 52 points of a lead here, 75 points remaining. So he needs to take 2 more reds with at least the pink, and then that will leave it down to 59 points available, whilst his gap should be down at 60 points, which is not going to be too comfortable, because you always have to try and make sure that you try and get another sort of snooker over the finish line, but at least it's going to leave a nice little chance away for Higgins to try and make things right once again. And now it's over. Well, listen, it was over at 10-9. Now it's certainly not going to be as over and as bad, because it's only going to be a race to 2 frames out there if Higgins is able to get another red, and ideally with the colour as well, barring snookers. GG's frame, massive next. Yeah, I mean, this one was massive for Higgins though, because that's such a good break for him to try and achieve 60 points after this red disappears, 59 for now, which is going to set him up. Well, it is going to be a frame ball, but ideally just wants to try and take the pink with it as well, after he's finally managed to get through to that pink. But listen, how difficult the position was. I mean, you can sort of praise that break from Ronnie O'Sullivan, which probably was slightly better than this one, but still, they're going to be evenly a match for each other because of how much pressure there was on each of those sort of breaks for Higgins and O'Sullivan, but at the same time, just how much there was at stake for both of these players, as Higgins tries to take that pink away, not risking too much, trying to play the cue ball into the reds, and in the end, of course, it's all going to be down to getting over the finish line and taking that red carefully towards the left corner. So playing this red towards the left-hand side and put himself in a position after having 67 points of a lead, and trying to go for the pink to be taken into the right middle. It will come down to a decent opportunity here as well of taking the yellow away, just to make sure that Ronnie won't have any sort of temptation to be sort of doing anything out of this particular shot. But look at that for the brown. Brilliant shot there. And clearly Higgins is going to be thinking about a century break. And wow, that has to be, if you don't take into account that the frame was won, that surely has to be the shot of the tournament. Yes, the shot from Hussein was brilliant, but at the same time, you have to give him credit for this one. That was epic from Higgins. I genuinely thought he was going to try and put one of those colour saves just to make sure. It clearly felt he had enough points on the table to try and just go for it. And boy, did he go for it well. And now surely deserves a century break after such an incredible break. I mean, look at this brown again. The cue ball is over the left corner. The brown is on his spot. And he manages to take that one beautifully into the green pocket while still trying to separate the reds away onto the black ball spot. Fantastic bit of queuing there from Higgins. Great long shot. And now leaves himself with 78 points to be taken. Down to just 2 more reds here to try and eliminate at the right part of the table. He's finally going to be on the black for potentially, after he takes the last red away. So still could try and achieve the 3rd century for himself. We've seen 4 of those in the entire match. 2 by each player. Can he try and make it 3 out of 5 here? And just roll that pink carefully well. And just about rolls that one in, despite wobbling in the jaws for a little while. And exhibition shot when the frame is won. Yeah, but if Trom does it, he's the greatest player of all time. And then if Higgins does it, exhibition shot, doesn't it? So it's still a fantastic shot that he's taken. And, that's certainly what, as I said, if you don't take into account that the frame was already won by that stage, which you could, and then that shot from Hussein Wafai probably still takes it because of how much there was at stake for him during that long red that he's taken to the corner. But once again, I mean, they're not showing that on the replay for the 3rd time for no reason. Look at that brown that he's taken, and look at the way that he managed to get the cue ball so close to the black. You always knew there was going to be a triangle of reds to try and separate away from each other, and he's done that superbly well for him to be lined up with 93 points of a break and looking to try and make it as a potential clearance of 118 points and still get himself through down to a race to just 2 more frames. And of course, if it is going to be one of them to win 2 frames in a bounce, then we're not going to see a decider. But for now, it does seem like that's probably where we're headed, especially if this is going to be another century break. Higgins, it just seems like he's not going to give up until the end, and it's going to be another ton for him. Makes it a break of 100 points exactly before inevitably scoring a couple more points on the blue. And surely the pink and black as well for the total clearance as he carefully takes the pink away into the corner, positioning himself for the black. This has been an absolute break to remember. As soon as the cue ball, well, it didn't quite stay out, so it will be a break of 111 points and 7 points as a foul shot to Ronnie O'Sullivan. But still, that was great bit of queuing there from John Higgins. And now it is going to be down to 22 frames in, 11 frames each. John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan has got it all to play for as we reach the absolute climax point of this second round match. We haven't seen any one of those second round matches to go anywhere near that mark. We've seen Barry Hawkins against Mark Williams 13-9. We've seen Sean Murphy against Southwood on 13-3. Mark Allen against Karen Wilson 13-9. And once again, Zhao 13-9 against Ding Zhuyi as well. This one could go all the way, and we've seen a decider there between the class of 92 in the previous year, Mark Williams against John Higgins. Are we going to see another one here? Because I tell you what, the neutral fans are going to be ready, but the fans of John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan are certainly not going to be ready for that one. Was planned from deserved bottom cushion, best shot of the tournament. Was planned from the reserved bottom cushion, best shot of the tournament. I don't know which one you're talking about. If you could try and mention the match, I assume it's going to be against Selby. If you could potentially mention the frame to me, I'll be very, very appreciative there. By the way, Kevin and Letitia, I do want to get your very quick thoughts on what do you think about that foul shot by Wakelin. Was it a foul on the yellow? And what's the point of VAR? Because you can clearly guess where I'm heading with that one. Because to me, and I'm pretty sure to Wakelin as well, because of him asking questions post the video review, I didn't see anything on the replay. He clearly didn't see anything on the replay. And yeah, do just stick with the referee's decision. But what's the point of trying to have a look afterwards? Because she was looking and she was standing in behind of Wakelin. So she said that he sort of caught that yellow with his cue after he was cueing backwards there. So after the swing is gone and you pull that cue back towards you, the cue back towards you, you sort of caught the yellow a little bit. You couldn't see that from all the angles that I was seeing out there. So listen, that's going to be something for a debate. Referee's always last say. Okay, fair play. If you think so. Something like 65% of the poll was saying the same thing yesterday, but I just felt like it's a little bit weird to me because, you know, I understand that referees should be taking control of the game, but what's the point of VAR if you're not going to use it? You know, like, I understand if I could actually, or, you know, someone could tell me that there was a clear move from that yellow, which, you know, once again, I'm still waiting for that. But what if you're saying is, even if we see that there is no touch on the yellow, but the referee still stands very firm with their decision, I suppose it's the same thing which happened in between Jimmy White and Hussein Vafai, because, you know, the cue ball being outside the D, because on the replay, you couldn't really say whether that was the case. So Hussein wanted to carry on, and, you know, Jimmy White didn't actually, you know, show too bad of a sportsmanship either, and trying to make sure that we got to the bottom of that. And 3 centuries, John is looking more confident. Yeah, but for now, it's probably not going to be down to it. It's going to be down to the nerves management, but also the chances for you to try and get in with those. And at that stage, it probably will come down to whoever's got the most of those points to try and score here. But for now, 22 frames in, and still absolutely nothing to separate the players away from each other. Ronnie now, he's got an open gap here to try and go for this red into the corner. I've seen those taken, seen those missed as well. And what's it going to be here? Well, I mean, I'm very surprised that he's tried to cue this one for the black. I mean, surely that was one step too far for him to take it. If you take that shot with full power, I probably would fancy him to try and make that close to the pocket. But the fact that he was trying to hold that cue for the black probably make that shot pretty much impossible. Unless he cue that one a lot better than what he's done. And it should not have left anything easy away to Higgins, because, of course, he would have been clearly playing for the black, making sure the cue ball was going to be pretty much alongside the black here. So seems like it's just going to be a safety shot to be played. Ronnie's got to tighten up. John's momentum is really strong right now. Yeah, of course, he's still managing to win sort of 8 out of the remaining, out of the previous 10 frames or something, because he's now 7 out of the remaining 10 frames, which is still brilliant when you talk about it. Yeah, to be precise, 7 out of the last 9 frames, because Ronnie, of course, was leading by 9 frames before. He managed to win 2 more frames to get himself to this stage, but Higgins gone from 4 to 11, which makes it down to 7 frames out of 9 to be won, 6 of those to be on the bounce. And now it is going to be a safety shot there that Ronnie has gone for. But he seems like he's left a gap there for John to be taking the red into the corner so far. Those have rarely been missed there by John, especially a trademark into the left corner very specifically. Seems like it does actually matter for him in relation to the pocket, because, you know, he hasn't made it anywhere near as many of those reds into the right corner as he has made into the left. So what can he try and achieve here? Is he going to try and take that cue ball to go all the way here? And what's try and stick it for the black? We've sort of done sort of in between, and he's still going to be positioned nicely for the blue here. Is he going to be straight? He doesn't want to be straight. I mean, he's just about too straight for this one, but this camera angle will tell us how straight he's going to be if he just carries on till the end. Yeah, that one is way too straight for you to try and take it around the angles. So he's clearly going to just try and slow that cue ball down enough so that he's got very little... Oh, that's a weird shot to me. I mean, he's gone for the red into the left corner. I thought he was going to try and get himself through to a shot into the right corner instead, because surely that's a natural way to drop the cue ball for the black. Now, he needs to try and find it with a very tight angle because of the red being on the way on the left part of the table. So this still could be a very important shot that he's taken, and a decision which could still backfire, unless he's playing for the blue here, of course, which probably is going to be the only relevant thing. Well, I mean, he's trying to hold it for the black, and he's played that shot well, to be fair. You know, he's taken loads of power away from the white and just about managed to use that traction of the side cushion to allow him to get past the red, but still not being lined up on the, you know, not being lined up badly on the black at all, by any means. Just probably needs to measure the way of the cue ball heading towards the reds again, because he either has to try and avoid the contact at all, or make sure that if he gets the contact, it's going to be the firm one, or he gets himself through to a chance of taking the reds into the left corner. He's done that, and now it will be down to 14 points here on the break, and a decent chance to be heading for one more red into the corner before probably trying to play for the red into the right corner, which was actually probably the second red, which I would have suggested to be playing. Higgins has got other sort of plans about it, and the good thing about that red is that you can technically try and take it into the left middle as well as taking that one into the right corner, which sort of allows you to be choosing in between playing for the black or playing for the blue. I feel like with Higgins, you know, the more natural angle is going to try and do it for the blue, but why is he trying to do that from this shot? I mean, he's still got a shot into the yellow pocket, but that caught me completely by surprise. Clearly didn't have the angle to try and play for another red. But to me, the backspin, the backspin shot probably wasn't available, but topspin surely had way too much room for him to try and mess that particular shot up. So, well, 22 points is not going to be anything here. And, yeah, Higgins doesn't seem like he's looking at that red as if to say, well, should I be taking that one or should I be considering it? And the bottom line seems like it's going to be a no from the reality. I mean, surely he's not coming for this red to be taken into the corner. That is going to be a massive cut to be taking on. I understand that he's going to be getting that cue ball to be played in towards the bulk area anyway. But still, if you put that red to be over the corner pocket, then there's not really a place on the table where you can leave that cue ball and sort of get away with that mistake. So, yeah, well, massive decision coming. And it is going to be a spider, which he requests from the referee, with the extension on it as well. So, it does seem like he's committed to try and take this red away. I don't really understand what was the point in bringing the rest away anyway. And now I feel like he wanted to try and get the other spider as well, which gets a little bit of a nose on it, which allows for the cue to be put on, and just basically makes it a little bit more comfortable for you to be taking that shot on. And Ronnie must win somehow. Well, can't do it whilst having Higgins at the table. He needs to see a mistake for now in this frame. For now, 22 points He's the lead, 123 at the table. He's been taking plenty of time on the shot here, Higgins. And let's see if it's all going to pay off at the end. Having one more look towards the cut, and almost 2 minutes right now since his last shot was finished. And now, finally time to try and take this red away into the right corner. Make sure that he gets himself down to a decent opportunity of being on the black as well. And because the best way for you to be doing that is by playing the cue ball onto the black ball cushion. But still, Higgins doesn't seem like he's made his mind up completely, which could be a very dangerous thing to be doing out there. Because if he messes this one up, he's going to look back on it as a potential shot to lose him the match. But now, he's not going to be doing that here because he's played that shot really well. And forget about playing for the black. He certainly didn't have loads of confidence whether he was making that red in. And he's played for the brown, yellow and green. But listen, the way that he's managed to get so much traction from the cue ball, yes, the angle was going to always have plenty of pace on the white, but not enough surely to be taking that one all the way towards the brown spot. And now he will be down to a decent opportunity to close his frame away there from Higgins, because he's managed to separate the reds away really nicely away from each other. And, you know, he's played that shot now where he wasn't perfectly lined up for the reds. Now he's got plenty of colours to choose from. He's got plenty of reds to choose from. And he's got 27 points of the advantage. Once again, cracking shot. Brilliant shot there from Higgins. And, of course, coming at a very important time as well. Now just surely try to keep himself on the black spot here. Try and play through that red and get himself on the cue ball to be lined up for the black to be taken into the left corner as well. And is he going to try and play that shot a little bit too close to the corner? And, well, that was always going to leave that cue ball to be closer to being alongside the black, but ultimately a little bit further up in relation to the side cushion. A little bit closer to the side cushion at the end. So let's see, as I say, I mean, this is going to be a prime John Higgins position there for him to try and take care of. Ronnie's going to be looking very nervously, even though he might not show it. As he said in his interview in 2021, he tries to not to show too many of those emotions as in comparison to 2000s. And once again, tries to open up the angle and use the pocket really wisely out there to allow himself to be playing that cue ball through the left side cushion and still be getting himself through to a shot on the red to be taken, either into the left or the right hand side here. So 35 points is the lead. And can he try and take the red away into the left hand side of the table without being hampered by the blue? Seems like he just about can. You know, putting the cue next to the blue or rather on top of it always helps. And even though, you know, that particular shot was always going to see that cue ball to be further up from the black than he would have wanted. But still leaves himself with a natural angle to try and drop the cue ball to being behind the red, to try and take that one away into the left middle. And of course, those points are going to start to really mount it for John Higgins, and so many high-value breaks that we've seen in this third session especially. You know, breaks of 128, 111, 83, all of them to come since the start of the 17th frame. A little bit pacey that on the cue ball, doesn't want it to go too far, and he has gone too far. Well, I mean, he's probably all right to be taking another red towards the left corner, but sometimes you don't really need those sort of problems for you to be created, especially after such a natural shot there. Just played it with a bit too much of the power, and despite getting the cue ball a big bounce of the right side cushion, he still leaves himself to be lined up for this red here. And try and take that one into the left corner. He's done that really well. Where's the cue ball going to be on the black? Doesn't want to be too straight once again, because of the situation that he's going to have with all the remaining reds, and trying to make sure that he doesn't have to play this one with too much power, and just hammering the cue ball to go onto the right side cushion and basically play the same shot, but with a more difficult addition than he's tried the last time around. And yeah, this time it's a lot better with the result, and sort of still managed to play that shot with a little bit of backspin, but managed to avoid using the side cushion at all. And now gets himself through to 51 points of a lead, trying to take the red away into the left middle and play for the blue to be taken into the same pocket as well. That will get it down to 83 points available. And once again, he's getting closer, even though the break is certainly not going to be the quickest that we've seen so far in the match. But as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, the average shot time is probably going to be the last thing that he has to worry about. So once again, the coverage suggests trying to drop the cue ball to be right over the pink so that he takes the red into the corner, which, I mean, it works. But is that not going to be a perfect timing for you to try and hit the cue ball into the paint? I mean, it probably doesn't have the perfect angle to it. Only John will know that. And he's also looking at a potential way of just trying to drop the cue ball for the left-hand side there and taking the same red away, not into the left, but into the right corner. Now he's gone for the coverage option, and he's played that pretty well in relation to manage to get that distance in between the cue ball and the red to a minimum. And John looking slightly in the frame. Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's a long time since he's been at the table, but of course it's going to be used as an advantage as well. And so far, playing those shots absolutely spot on and perfectly well into those corner pockets and the middle to be utilised about as well as he can. Trying to get those reds to spread out, just wants to be perfectly lined up on the black. He's not perfect, but he's far from being badly lined up on it as well. So then he's getting ever closer. 3 more shots needed, and then it will be down to 1 more frame there for Higgins to complete that incredible comeback and try and take the black away into the right hand side of the table. Play that cue ball to be taken away from those reds, and just make sure that he's not going to miss the black here, because that will leave it very much wide open there for Ronnie, but he's not going to do that. And once again, it's a break of 65 points, which only needs 1 more red away, and then it will be down to, 66 points as the advantage. And then the black will surely make sure that Ronnie O'Sullivan won't be coming back to the table. It has been an absolute template of a break shot and break building of a frame there for John Higgins, and now he's only going to make this one better, because remember, the 3 centuries, now the black is in. He certainly can start to be talking about the 4th one to be on the horizon, and with all the chances that Ronnie had, he had the breaks of 93, 95, but this one is certainly going to be one of the best scoring opportunities here that Higgins will have ahead of himself. Still going for a 140, and there's such a difficult position, having to play the blue so many times at the starting point of it. And now having still a chance to try and make a 140 out of this break is going to be nothing short of absolutely ridiculous. And Ronnie, he's going to have to try and win 2 frames in a bounce. Otherwise, he will be out, and that bid for the 8th world title will be very much over for him. You want to see a decider between them? Well, not just you. I mean, with Ronnie unable to do it without a decider, I'm certainly going to be looking forward to that one as well. But for now, once again, Higgins, he's going to have the mass to be on his side. 8 out of 10 frames right now that he's managed to win. In the most recent frames, of course, as well. And Ronnie seems like he's had those 2 really good breaks, but I don't really know what's gone wrong for him in the previous 2 frames. I can't really put it down to, a couple of bad short selections, not taking his chances. It just seems like Higgins was just a little bit better than him. And, he's overcut this one a little bit to try and leave himself up with a difficult shot onto the left middle to be taken. It won't be the 4th century break here for John Higgins, but in the end, it's still going to be the 4th highest break that he's manages to achieve. And now, Ronnie O'Sullivan is the 12th in the world, and John Higgins is now going to be having 12 frames next to his name. It is John Higgins that leads Ronnie O'Sullivan for the 2nd time in this match by 12 frames to 11. Higgins is a monster of a competitor, but still anyone's match because the other guy is a monster too. And if Ronnie wins the next 2 frames, there will be no A title next Monday. One more time. Probably all of these points are quite nice, because you feel like if Ronnie's going to have a spell like that, as much as you have to give full praise to John Higgins for now, for making full advantage of it. And as I say, 9-4 down, 12-11 that he's leading right now, and certainly making his way towards the finish line here. And trying to make it down to a great chance for Ronnie O'Sullivan to try and, get himself through back to the action. Because if he still wins that 24 frame, it will probably come down to the final frame showdown. And he will probably just about be taking the edge in that particular showdown for the frame. As meanwhile, the 21st frame has now started in between Mark Selby and Weiser. And it seems like Mark Selby is going to be the player, very much looking to try and close that gap down just to 1 more frame again. He's going to be a minor favourite of trying to get himself through to the finish line. John Higgins has got the odds to be in his favour. And what can he try and achieve here? Because the most important thing, it will probably come down to a decent chance to come in favour of Mark Selby. But, just being 2 frames back just, feels like it puts a little bit more pressure on you. Yes, you've got nothing to lose, but at the same time, You know, it doesn't have so much of a variety of shots that you can be taken. But now, 24 frame in between John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan is about to get started. And this one certainly does feel big. It feels huge. And, well, is Ronnie going to be able to go for at least one of those reds to try and get that score sheet to be very much renewed for him? And he was leading Higgins by around 500 points coming into this session. And now that gap has been cut down to just 160 points, which is still leading, which tells you that, you know, a couple of those frames that have been close have actually finished to be in favour of John Higgins as well. And Ronnie comeback, Ronnie champions. Well, listen, Ronnie's still the favourite to try and take this one away with 75%. I'd probably say it's going to be something like that in Higgins' favour, because even if he loses this frame, you know, one could tell it's still going to be very much a part of a 50-50 of a showdown finale in that frame number 25. He's done that before against Williams. He was a couple of shots away from making that one and in the end couldn't quite make that one to work for him. And now he hasn't managed to work this safety for himself as well. He's left the red to be available for Ronnie, and surely this is the time to try and show up to the match. And he's got such a great introduction of taking that red away. Yes, he can't drop that cue ball to be on the black, but that's going to be something for him to try and consider in the next couple of shots. For now, take the red away and surely try and leave that cue ball to be lined up for the pink. So it doesn't need too much of the power on this red, but wow, he certainly needed to try and make that one into the pocket. And this is going to be the first costly mistake of the last couple of frames there from Ronnie. And the factor of him being a little bit rusty in the last couple of frames, it will come down to this one now. And it's a chance for John Higgins. He allows himself not to be, well, sort of needing too much to go for those long reds, because he's got one available into the right corner. And with him being so immune to pressure, it would just come down to having another great chance of trying to make things right there for himself. You know, if he's going to try and take the pink away into the right middle, play that shot with a little bit of topspin, make sure the white is going to be getting past that blue ball line and get himself through to all the easy reds to be taken, which he hasn't got too many of. But I suppose if you take them one by one, you know, all of a sudden the score is actually going to look like it's a massive thing for you as well. And now John Higgins gets himself as 7 points of a lead. And yeah, looking at that long red once again, I mean, realistically, it's not going to get any easier than that. And the fact that he's undercut for that as well is going to be disappointing. Higgins knew as soon as he seen that red to wobble, he wasn't going to drop. And now he's going to be absolutely, well, over the moon with the chance that he gets presented to him in the frame number 24. Still feel like this is going to be probably the best chance that he's going to get, because he's always going to have that cushion of potentially losing out of this frame and still, you know, being right in the mix for the quarterfinal spot. But now it does seem like the blue to be taken into the right middle is the logical shot for now, as he was throughout the starting points of the previous frame. And yeah, he's got a couple of reds to choose from. He's played for the top one really nicely, so that he gives himself a chance. Jones to lose now, yeah, absolutely. But listen, probably will come down to a little bit of pressure here to be played as well, as John Higgins is looking for that red to be taken past the black. And well, this could be a massive shapeshifter here. I mean, he's looking for the red to be taken next to the black, because if he takes that red away, all of a sudden, he's got a really nice chance to try and stay on the black ball spot, and that will increase the points that he scores, but ultimately, it will give him such a nice boost to the chances of trying to take all the difficult reds away. For now, he needs to make sure he sort of kills two chickens with one shot there, because he tries to take this black away to the left corner. The black right now won't go onto its own spot, so he needs to make sure he cannons the red out of the way. He's done that, but is he going to be on the red to the right corner? Well, it was a bit of a mission there for Higgins to try and achieve, and it seems like, even though the reward would have been so great for him, it seems like he came a little bit short here. He can completely understand and justify why he was doing that, because it's so much easier to try and take those 4 loose reds around the black with the black being on the spot there. But I mean, it's just the factor of him overplaying for the black slightly, and even though he's taking that red away from the black ball spot, you know, the red that he was playing for, he's actually going to be covered up by the black here as well. Not the end yet. To go out and still fighting amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that he was 9-4 down and he finds himself 21 points clear in the frame number 24 is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And, well, the break is still not over technically. We've seen plenty of times where Players have been scoring 22 points exactly before moving on to continue the break. Can he try and take this red away into the yellow pocket? There was a twitch, and it's not going to be a one that helps on John Higgins. Well, the problem is he's managed to free up the monster, and he's left the keys very much hanging, well, in the lock there, because now that black to be on the spot and so many of those loose reds to be available, it will be all down to Ronnie O'Sullivan to try and make things right. Yes, that long red was the one that you don't expect him to miss, but surely 35.5 minutes in his last pot time, which probably tells you how, how nervy it was for Higgins to try and make sure those 2 frames that he has managed to win have been heading towards his count. Now the first red is in, but those 2 or 3 first shots are going to be very important there for Ronnie, just to make sure he gets himself settled and tries to get some really good points on the board as well. Game on, certainly. And we'll look at that position as well. It's prime Ronnie position. Just managed to calm down his nerves. And taking another red nicely into the corner, he manages to make even more of those reds to be in the open play. The problem for Higgins is that he's managed to do that split to the pack whilst not really having a good gap of points. Of course, he thought the shot that he's played was going to get him even more points on the line. Now, he's going to find himself being 12 points ahead of Ronnie O'Sullivan, but with so many good reds that he's managed to free up himself in the previous shot, and a couple of those to be available anyway. He's played an interesting shot here, because I felt like he was playing for the lowest one of those reds, because you always want to try and take the lowest first, because you just take it with a pyramid, because it would have freed up the one closer to the right-hand side of the bunch. But once again, I mean, at this stage, he's going to be spoiled for choice. And taking a red away into the right middle, make sure that you're going to try and stick it to the black for now. Because even though he's got a couple of those reds to be midway, half across the table, it'll also come down to maybe just trying to leave those ones till last and probably use them as insurance, because if he's going to be overplaying for the reds, then he's going to have a couple of those to be higher up the table and eventually get himself through to a positional play on the shot as well. So, yeah, once again, just having a look at this one, 17 points, place 21. Just trying to go for the black here into the left corner, playing the cue ball to go through those reds, and still wants to be straight on those, but it seems like he's going to have the angle anyway to try and force this shot through, get a little nudge of the other couple of reds, and get that cue ball to be lined up on the black anyway. A little bit further than he wanted. That's probably the last time that he had to be doing anything with those reds. Till the end of the frame, really. If he manages to take all the ones that he actually managed to sort of leave himself up with, a little bit too close to the front jaw, needs to make sure his pot success is going to be absolutely spot on. His positional play should be absolutely astonishing as well. For now, 32 points that he scores, still going to be getting closer and closer to that decider. Come on, Ronnie, got the decider. Selby Memorial in 2020. Yeah, I mean, that was brilliant. But I don't feel like I'm going to be able to relive that one again because of that red that he missed into the green pocket. I'm pretty sure that, or the yellow pocket, I can't remember which one. Pretty sure it was in the green, where it pretty much was the match ball, and so many of those safety and snooker escapes, which we had to see our way through. For now, he manages to get the blue out of the way, which probably is going to be more of an advantage than it is going to be a problem, because the red right next to the blue ball spot is now going to be a lot easier for Ronnie to try and access, but at the same time, he's got plenty of opportunities to try and play those shots with the black and the pink. For now, it's going to be slightly awkwardly placed on this particular red, so this is where the blue could have been used nicely for him, but he's still got the yellow or the brown to try and make his way through. As he carefully takes that red away, make sure he's going to be heading straight into the heart of the pocket, and now, while he doesn't have, I was just about to say he hasn't got a great record in a particular form of matches, but I'm going to keep that to a frame of 25 for now. It's still 24 and 28 points as the advantage here for Ronnie as he makes another break of 49 points. I mean, it has been a rain of high-scoring breaks to be coming in. 2 century breaks from Ronnie O'Sullivan, 3 century breaks from John Higgins. Could have easily been a lot more than that. And now he finds himself in a position of trying to go for the black into the right corner, making sure now that he's going to be 36 points clear whilst having 59 at the table. And he shouldn't be having too much of a trouble to try and take 2 more reds away, which surely will get him over that finish line, which he's going to be looking forward to. I mean, slightly underplay for the black here, so may have to drop for the one on the black ball cushion. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, because that one is quite far away from the cushion itself. And as long as it doesn't leave himself too straight, he should have a chance to try and transition the cue ball for the red to be taken into the left corner and the black to follow up into the right corner as well. And now it is the technical stuff that gets out of the way. So barring snookers, it is going to be a decider. 45 points clear. And now as the black disappears, it will be the showdown finale. Higgins had the exact same story against Mark Cullen 2 years ago. He had the exactly same story against Mark Williams a year ago, and he could not have gone at the Crucible campaign without having a decider in first to 13 match. Well, I'll tell you what, if this is to be the future winner of the World Championship, then it's certainly going to be decided here. 24 frames in, 9-4 of a gap, 6-2 of a gap, 10-9, 12-11, and it all comes down to one more frame of snooker to be seen. And yeah, Ronnie clearly feels like he's not going to bother about that really. The crowd are going absolutely mad because they've realised they're about to see another piece of history to be written by those two great players. And it will come down to a break of 81 points from Ronnie O'Sullivan to make it 12 frames to 12. Anyone's right now, absolutely. May the best man win. Well, not really what I'm going to say, but yeah, certainly a great show for the fans, and whoever wins this one, by the way, Selby finds himself 9-12 down, incredibly, back to Weezer, so it does seem like we're getting closer to finishing both of those last 16 matches, but surely the main eyes are going to be down to John Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan. Which one of those two great legends will be able to book themselves through to the quarterfinal and play either Chris Wakelin or Neil Robertson? New or not, that's a match. I mean, absolutely. I mean, full credit to both of the players, full credit to John Higgins, full credit to Ronnie O'Sullivan, but especially to John. You have to give him an extra edge for that, and you have to probably give him their favourite title, just because of how much of a comeback it was. 6-2 down after the first session, impossible mission for him to achieve. Ronnie comes back a little bit, not certain on his legs, and still manages to get himself through to 5 frames of a gap at 9-4. And what followed was an absolute history there in the making by John Higgins, able to win 6 frames on the bounce, and now leaves himself in a position of being 12 frames each. Go for the 8th world. Well, listen, it is going to be down to a showdown finale, and as Ronnie makes his way back onto the table, the crowd are going to go absolutely mad. There is going to be a little fist bump in between the two legends. 30 years they've been entertaining the crowd, more than 30 years here, of course. Since 1992, they have been professional players, and certainly haven't seen too many of those matches like that. And this one is going to go the distance. Ronnie O'Sullivan to take the first shot, and now anything is going to have huge consequences if you make the mistake, but ultimately, if you make it right, you get yourself a great chance to try and take it all the way. Best match so far, certainly of the championship. I mean, Fang Jingyi against Sean Murphy was decent, Ding Zhuyi against Zhao Dingtong was decent, but this one is whole new level, just because of the quality, because of the high scoring, and because of the breaks, but also because we are now able to see the 25th, and the final frame. Current session, lot of success, 63% for Higgins, 29% for Ronnie. This is going to be the stat, probably the only thing that matters. Trying to get yourself in with the first chance. The red is taken, and is he going to be on the black? Yes, he is. Well, first blood certainly goes to Higgins, and he gets himself in. A really good opportunity here. If it wasn't a decider, you'd probably say he'd fancy him to try and take this frame to a whole new level here in terms of the points to be scored. He's not going to be able to sort of run away with it. The position is nowhere near as easy. But he certainly gets himself in with a chance to try and take the black away now into the right corner and get himself through. A decent opportunity to be on the red here, to be taken into the left-hand side of the table again. And he seemed like he wasn't quite as happy with the break-off shot that he's played, but unfortunately for him, that was a recurring theme where just Higgins seems like he's managed to find his groove with those long shots to be taken. And every single time he gets himself in with a chance, never seems to step away very quickly out there, especially now. He would have known what happened in the previous frame, and he knows full well just how much it will take for him to try and beat Ronnie O'Sullivan. So for now, just score 24 points is the mission minimum because of the 3 loose reds available to him. And then on top of that, he can try and send the cue ball into the reds right here, because you should always have the red available into the left corner to be taken. For now, decided right now. And just carefully taking this black away into the right corner. Make sure that cue ball is going to be played with great sort of power in towards those reds. He's clearly going to go for it. And is he going to be on the red? Well, I'll tell you what, he's not going to be on the red into the corner. He might be on the red into the middle. But which one of those three is he actually going to be taking on here? Because the easiest one is covered up, surely. The second one is probably not worth taking on, but there is going to be a red in between the blue and the pink. And if he takes that one away, the position is looking more dangerous than ever. Even in the decider, it'll be a great chance. It'll be a great shame if Ronnie doesn't get a chance. But, well, is he going to get a chance now? I mean, that was a massive shout from the crowd, even though it was a mistake. But ultimately, of course, they're going to be trying to get their man to get a chance in. And that red was always heading a little bit too wide. And the front jaw was coming very quickly at John Higgins. But ultimately, that red has gone super safe. So, well, is it going to be the same red that he takes? Or is he going to try and go for another one? Very much the same pocket that John got himself to be starting this break. Now, John had his chance. Surely it wouldn't be the same if Ronnie didn't get his chance now. And he gets that red to be taken perfectly into the corner. And one last dance it is. I mean, all you can dream about is to be seeing 24 frames, nothing to separate the legends, and then the 25th frame where both of them get at least a point on the board. Now, it's over to you, Ronnie. You've done it before. Can you try and do it again? Not with shots like that, he can't. I mean, he's still going to be on the red, but just about. I mean, he wants that red to go past the green ideally. He tried to send that cue ball into the bunch of reds with the first opportunity. Didn't have to be doing that. And ultimately leaves himself with so much distance to try and cover on the red to be taken into the right corner. Once again, this one has to be cued to perfection. Is he going to be? No, he won't be. That red is going to stay. And where's he going to finish? Is he going to finish in behind the black? Has he left that red available to John Higgins? It's difficult to tell. Certainly fuming with himself, but I don't know why he would be trying to separate the reds away from each other. And, well, the fact that he sort of put his cue aside certainly suggests that he will be down to that red being visible from Higgins. And he is. Well, that's a shame. As I say, he can't ask for anything else but that opportunity to be taken by Ronnie O'Sullivan the first time. Doesn't seem like he's done it. And of course, this blows the frame wide open and massively in favour of Higgins, because he finds himself in a position of trying to take the red away with the black, having so many reds spread out across the table. Oh, I mean, he's rattled that one in. But still, everything that rattles doesn't really matter. I mean, it forces you to go a little bit wider than you would have liked, but in the reality, it will come down to those type of reds to be taken here into the left corner, and he gets himself through to 16 points of a gap. Had his chance. Will Ronnie get another one? Yes, it will be the question here to be asked. So Higgins for now underplaying for the black slightly. This is the second time he's done that. First time he's just about managed to roll that black in. Anything is missable, even for someone like John Higgins, that seems like he's going to be immune to any sort of pressure. He needs to be making sure those jaws are going to be nowhere near the black here. And as he takes another black away, this one is played perfectly well. But is he going to be on the red? It's difficult to tell. It's really difficult to tell. And I'm not too sure what the referee... I always miss it out on, you know. He always goes for a second time, you know. And the second that I switch the audio on, he's already finished talking to the audience. So anyway, 32 points, place 8. Does Ronnie get another visit to the table, at least to play a safety shot? Well, Higgins, of course, is going to have a red to be taken into the yellow pocket, which is still a mid-range shot there, but, I mean, you need to cue this one properly well, even if you're going to try and leave that cue to be on the bold colours. You know, still, this one is missable. Avoid any sort of twitch. It's not trying to go too much underneath the cue ball, and as he played this one well enough, he's going to be on the brown, and he's played this one clearly well enough to be on a chance to try and continue the break here. This was once again a great opportunity to try and make a mistake, and Higgins decides that that's not going to be the time for mistakes, and he's going to be carefully taking the brown towards the green pocket. Once again, not sort of no shame in taking an extra second on this, because now you get yourself a chance of 25 points as the lead, 19 under the table. And you will be down to another good opportunity here to be taken, because, I mean, the thing about Higgins is that he left himself with a really good position here with the previous shot that he's taken into the yellow pocket, because he's got a clear chance of roll that cube onto the right side cushion, and if he gets enough purchase on it, he should be able to get onto the red, as Ronnie nervously watching on every single time their column might go too close to the jaws. Seems like Higgins slightly overplayed for this one, but he's going to have another red into the left corner available to him anyway. He's still very keen to be taking this one on, which is a surprise, because it seemed like it's one of those where it's going to be difficult for you to avoid the contact on the pink. And even though, you know, you can try and play this one with loads of screw back and backspin towards the right side cushion, those are the shots you don't really want to test yourself at too much. And he's played it well, he's played it really well, and he's going to be on the top side of a blue. Being straight would have been decent, being top side will get you pretty much a free shot to be guaranteed. 30 points, as I said, as the lead. Make that 35 as the blue disappears, and getting ever closer here, Higgins. He's got a very wide opportunity ahead of himself, and well, this is going to hurt, because this has not been like Luca Brissell defeat in 2023. This has not been like Stuart Bingham defeat in 2024, and this has not been like that defeat in 2025 to Chelsea Top. But this was the shot which surely is going to cost Ronnie very dearly, unless he's going to be able to get himself another chance, because why on earth would you try and take that cue ball into the paint bunch straight away? I mean, he's done that really well in the previous couple of frames, but at least when he was doing that, he sort of had a couple of points of a lead. At this stage, he had no lead, he had no backup in case he was going to miss the raids that he has. And now we'll come down to 36 points, and those points start to mount here in favour of John Higgins. So trying to take the blue away towards the right middle. Once again, a little bit of backspin here on the white, and trying to take it to the lowest one of those reds. Make sure he doesn't have to go into the pack, because anything right now that can go wrong, of course, will go wrong if you try and take a chance with it. And Higgins for now, the last thing, of course, that he wants to try and do that, but still, I mean, as much as it is difficult to jinx John Higgins, but he's looking really nicely for this position. Although, I feel like those 5 reds, even if he takes the 6th one away from them into the corner, it'll be pretty difficult for him to be lined up for the black with the left-hand side of it. And try and take the black away into the right corner. He's overplayed, well, he's underplayed for the black. He's overplayed for the pink here. The pink is better to be taking on, because it leaves you with a really good chance to try and get on the red to be taken into the corner, and that seems to be the line which John Higgins has chosen. So it will be down to those couple of shots which potentially could make it wrong there for Higgins. But of course, if he is to make a mistake, it has to be now in favour of Ronnie. For himself, he needs to try and keep it as composed as he can. Make sure he plays that pink, as he was an ordinary shot in the first frame, and play that one really lovely. And especially how straight it's going to be on the red. The pink is not going to be anywhere to be seen, but he doesn't need that one. You know, he's now 48 points clear, 75 at the table. Another red is about to go into the right corner. And I feel like if he gets that cue ball to be drifting a little bit wide of the black, he doesn't want to be too close to it. Especially if he's going to be on the top side of it. You could see another couple of reds to be potential in hindsight for him as well. And he's going to be able to realise that very, very soon. Now just try and take this red away. It's a little bit awkward for you to be bridging over. Just make sure that cue ball is going to have enough pace for it to keep running. And he has sort of done that. But why do I feel like the more natural angle here is going to try and play behind of the red next to the side cushion, which, I mean, it's difficult to tell how easy it is going to be to try and get really deep onto the white, play the black into the left corner, and get himself through to a chance to be taken pretty much a frame ball into the left corner of the table as well. Been great match. Looks like John's day. It does look like it, but nothing is guaranteed at the decider until there's going to be like 3 or 4 snookers to be needed. But there's a great shot there, and it certainly is the shot that will set him up for the frame ball to be very close within the range here. Taking the red into the left corner and just carefully dropping that cue ball for the black to be taken. But wow, he couldn't write it, and he's genuinely messed himself up on the match ball. Well, I mean, I say messed himself up. He's taken that red into the corner, but well, I mean, maybe there was someone shouting in the crowd there, because there was a little bit of a comment there made by the referee, which sort of unsettled him a little bit, because it was a little bit of a weird mistake. But ultimately, it's now 57 points of a lead. Surely you can't take this black away. You have to put that one safe. Is he going to try and play for it? It's not, well, not the shot for me to be taking on. Clearly, you have to play that one towards the side cushion. Well, he's tried to take it, and playing that cue ball away, well, I feel like that was the wrong shot to play, to be honest with you. But still, he leaves himself with a decent opportunity here to come back to the table. And it's a break of 49 points, which gets him 57 points of a lead, whilst 59 points of the table. So then what's it going to be? Is it going to be another long red attempt from Ronnie O'Sullivan as he's asking the referee to clean the white? The interesting thing is, he can drop the cue ball to be lined up for the black to be taken, and then he can just sort of, put all of his effort into to be taking the red into the corner. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. You have to take this red on. Just make sure you do that Ronnie rule. If you go out, you're out with your own rules. He's trying to take that one in, and he didn't get too close. Now, where's that red finished? Well, it's finished to be in close proximity to the left middle. Still, it's a massive shot that from Higgins. The cue ball is not perfectly onto the black ball cushion. Last chance, it was. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to get another one. For now, it doesn't seem like it. But of course, this red, if Higgins eliminates it, it leaves Ronnie with needing 2 snookers to play. Now then, a shot into the left middle, which will be one of the greatest shots that Higgins has ever played. And it will be the one that gets him clearly over the finish line. And now 66 points, plays 8. 58 points is the difference. As I say, 2 more snookers now. And it will be down to John Higgins. And Ronnie's not going to stick around for too much time. It's a little bit unfortunate, to be honest with you. I don't really like that sportsmanship from Ronnie because even though it's 2 snookers, he could have at least allowed Higgins to finish off that break. In the end, of course, Higgins won't care about that one too much as he thrives his fist to the crowd, and it will be down to, well, maybe there was a little bit of a shout from the crowd because he's pointing to the crowd, and it will be, at last, a very deserved victory from John Higgins. And take a bow, John, because that was brilliant. 9-4 down, 6-2 down. It looks like he was going to be out of it. Never write John Higgins off. Won a decider against Allen. Won a decider against, pretty sure it was Salgadon as well. Lost the decider to Mark Williams in the previous season, but now he's managed to defeat the greatest player of all time. It is John Higgins 13 and Ronnie O'Sullivan 12. And boy, was that an entertaining match, and that was incredible. And in the end, full credit to John Higgins. That was fantastic performance, especially the third session was by far the best of the 3. There was plenty of quality from Ronnie as well. And now we'll be looking forward to that interview of a post-match. He clearly wasn't happy with himself, and just hoping that he will still be committed to try and get himself back to the highest standard of his game, because the rocket method that he's launched recently certainly doesn't seem like he's allowed him to take off too much. And well, after all that, you can see 1,419 points that Ronnie O'Sullivan has scored, and he will be down to 1,266, which John Higgins has scored. But ultimately, it's the breaks and it's the centuries and it's those clearances that matter in the end. Higgins was able to take that red away into the left middle, and it will be down to him to try and play either Chris Maitland or Neil Robertson in the quarterfinal, as Ronnie O'Sullivan once again is unable to get himself past the quarterfinals. And ever since that winning in 2022 against Watchalong, he's gone a defeat in the quarterfinal to Luca Brissell, the eventual winner. The defeat to Stuart Bingham in the quarterfinal, which has exited in the semi-final as well. Defeat to Xiao Dington, the eventual winner. And now a defeat to John Higgins, which, I mean, the 5 last appearances in between the 2 of them at the Crucible has proved to be that the winner has gone on to win the whole thing. Is that going to be the case? We'll have to wait and see. For now, very much thank you to every single one of you that has tuned into the stream. Feel free to be back for the quarterfinals. It will probably feature Xiao Dington against Sean Murphy. I'll have to work out the schedule. But remember, quarterfinals start tomorrow. Great drama, great action, 3 hours of great entertainment. But in the end, it is Higgins that proves to be too strong for Ronnie O'Sullivan. So, yes, appreciate very much the moderators especially, but every one of you that has turned up to this chat, to the stream. Feel free to be subscribing. Feel free to hit the like on the stream as well. And see you all for the quarterfinals featuring Xiao Dington against Sean Murphy, and plenty more exciting matchups for us as snooker fans to be a part of. Once again, thank you very much and speak to you soon. Take care.
Wanna be my fun land. I don't ever want to leave. I'm in a tropic club.
Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way, yeah. Birds jumping